3 months before my only son's wedding, I learned that I had not made the family. Daniel sent me the wedding website on a Tuesday morning with the message, "Can you make sure the hotel info works for Aunt Linda?" I checked the hotel because of course I did. Then I clicked through the rest of the site. There were photographs of Daniel and Claire laughing on a dock, drinking coffee, standing in a field in clothes nobody would wear to stand in a field. I reached a page called "The People Who Made Us." Claire's mother, Marianne, appeared first under Mother of the Bride. Farther down, beside a photograph of Daniel's late father, there was Marianne again. This time, the caption thanked the parents whose love shaped our lives. I went back to the top, then down again. Marianne twice. Me nowhere. The strange thing was that I did not feel angry at first. I felt confused in the practical way you feel when a restaurant bill includes a meal you didn't order. There had to be a simple explanation. The page was unfinished. Claire had uploaded the wrong photograph. Daniel had forgotten to send mine. What I could not explain was why the page had been live long enough to collect 73 messages in the guest book, or why my son had sent me the link himself. I sat at my kitchen table with the phone in one hand and my coffee cooling beside the other. The screen showed Marianne in a cream-colored blouse, smiling as if she had personally invented encouragement. I liked Marianne, or I had always tried to. She was one of those women who could enter a room carrying a pie and somehow make everyone feel they had been waiting for both her and the pie. She remembered names, touched forearms, and said things like, "We don't stand on ceremony in this family," right before arranging everyone according to rank. I enlarged the second photograph. There was no mistaking her. Same silver blonde bob, same pearl earrings, same smile. My first text to Daniel was careful. I think Claire accidentally put Marianne in twice on the family page. He answered 47 minutes later. "Yeah, she knows. Don't worry about the website." I read that several times too. I typed, "Is my picture still being added?" Then I deleted it. I typed, "What does that mean?" Deleted that too. What I finally sent was, "Should I send you one of me?" A full hour passed. I carried my coffee to the sink, found the load of towels I had forgotten in the washing machine, and moved them to the dryer. I opened the refrigerator, stared inside, and closed it without taking anything. None of these actions had a reason, but they were better than sitting at the table while my own name failed to appear. The phone rang while I was folding a dish towel that did not need folding. "Hey, Mom." Daniel sounded tired. Daniel often sounded tired when I had asked a question he did not want to answer. "Hi. You got the hotel link working?" "Yes. Linda will have to choose the double queen room if she wants the lower rate." "Perfect. Can you text her that?" "I already did." "Of course you did." He gave a small laugh. "You're the best. There was a time when those 3 words could keep me warm for a week." I set the towel down. "What's happening with the family page?" "Nothing is happening." "Well, something happened. Marianne is on there twice." "I know, and I'm not on there at all." A pause opened between us. I could hear traffic on his end, then the mechanical click of a turn signal. "Claire built most of the site," he said. "I barely looked at it." "You sent it to me." "For the hotel information." "That isn't what I meant. Mom, she's still working on things. Then I'll send you a photograph. You don't even like photographs." I looked toward the refrigerator. A picture of Daniel and me was held there by a magnet shaped like a lobster. He was 23 in it, just out of college, his hair longer than he wears it now. We were standing outside the apartment where he had gotten his first real job. He had one arm around me and a set of keys raised in his other hand. "I dislike having my picture taken," I said. "I don't dislike having existed." He sighed. It was not a dramatic sigh. That would have been easier. It was the tired, private sigh of a man waiting for his mother to return to being reasonable. "Marianne's been really involved," he said. "Claire wanted to thank her. I think one photograph accomplished that. She's been like a second mom to me through all this." I pressed my thumbnail into the grain of the table. "You already have a first one." "That's not what I meant." No, I understand what you meant. I'm trying to find out what Claire meant. Another turn signal clicked. Daniel always talked to me from the car. It kept conversations inside a measurable distance. She probably assumed you wouldn't care about being on the website. Did you tell her that? I may have said you don't like attention. You told her I wouldn't want to be acknowledged as your mother. That's not what the page says. The page calls itself The People Who Made Us. Daniel. A horn sounded near him. He muttered something away from the phone, then came back sharper. Can we not do this while I'm driving? You called me while you were driving. Because you kept texting. I sent 2 messages. Fine. I'll talk to Claire. It should have satisfied me. For years, I'll take care of it, had been Daniel's bridge out of every uncomfortable conversation. Usually, I let him cross. Instead, I asked, "Did you see the page before today?" He did not answer quickly enough. I glanced at it. "And you saw Marianne there twice?" "I don't remember. Did you notice I wasn't there?" "Mom." It was one word, but it carried an entire instruction. Do not force me to say the thing I have arranged my life around not saying. I'm asking you a question. I have a meeting in 20 minutes. Claire is at work. The caterer changed the head count again, and Marianne is freaking out about the welcome dinner. I really do not have the bandwidth for this right now. There it was. Not cruelty exactly. Accounting, his bride, her mother, the caterer, the head count, his meeting, then me. Arriving without an appointment and demanding space in the books. I didn't ask you to fix it this minute. Then what are we doing? I wanted you to understand why it hurt. His voice softened, which somehow made the next part worse. I do understand. But the website isn't real life. I looked again at the photograph on my refrigerator. No, I said. I suppose not. I'll call you later. He did not. That evening, Claire texted me about table linens. She had found 84 secondhand linen napkins in what she described as a warm almond, although in the photograph they looked like dishwater. She wanted to know whether I could remove the embroidered initials from 14 of them and hem 2 that had frayed edges. The monograms are kind of aggressive, Lowell, she wrote. I stared at the message long enough for the screen to dim. Claire had a habit of adding LOL after requests that would take me 3 hours. It was one of the things I found charming before I found it irritating. I wrote back, "Bring them Sunday. I'll look." A heart appeared beneath my message almost immediately. It would be easy to say that I agreed because I was weak. The truth was less flattering and more complicated. I loved being needed. Need had a shape I understood. You could put it on a table, turn on a lamp, thread a needle, and solve it one careful stitch at a time. A wedding website was different. There was no seam to open without ruining the whole thing. I called my friend Ruth after dinner. We had known each other since our 20s and had reached the age when phone calls began with, "Nobody's dead, just to save time." "Nobody's dead," I said when she answered. "Then this had better be good. I'm watching a woman in Vermont renovate a barn. Is it her barn?" I don't ask questions that interfere with the fantasy. I told her about the website. Ruth was quiet for 2 seconds. Twice? Twice. Maybe the woman has 2 mothers. It's the same mother. I understand that. I'm trying to create a world where your son isn't an idiot. I smiled despite myself. Daniel said he barely looked at it. Did he also say the dog ate his reading glasses? He's busy. Evelyn. I know. No, you're doing that thing. What thing? The thing where you present evidence for the defense before anybody's charged him. I walked into the living room and pulled the curtain aside. Across the street, Mr. Alvarez was taking his trash can to the curb a day early. He did that every Wednesday evening and acted surprised every Thursday when no one else had. It's a wedding, I said. People lose their minds. Claire didn't forget her own mother. That's not fair. It's an observation. She's very close to Marianne, and Daniel is close to you. I let the curtain fall. He is. Ruth did not argue. That was worse than if she had. The following morning, I went back to the website. I told myself I needed to check whether the hotel booking code was visible on a phone. Instead, I opened the family page. Nothing had changed. I read the paragraph under Marianne's first photograph. It described her as Claire's compass, confidant, and the woman who taught her that love is something you do. Under the second photograph, the caption thanked Daniel's father, Thomas, whose humor and steady hand remain with us, and Marianne, whose open heart gave Daniel a second home. Thomas had been dead 6 years. Seeing him there beside Marianne produced a ridiculous sensation, as if the two of them had co-hosted a dinner without inviting me. My divorce from Thomas had been ugly in the boring way, full of canceled plans, divided furniture, and conversations conducted through clenched teeth. But Daniel had loved him, and grief had sanded the rough edges off the story. I had never corrected the polished version. Dead people could keep their flattering light. Apparently, I was the only parent who had lived long enough to become inconvenient. I closed the website and opened my photographs. The picture from Daniel's first apartment was still there, older than the phone because I transferred it every time I bought a new one. I sent it to him. "This one is fine if Claire needs a picture," I wrote. No rush. He did not reply that morning. At noon, I went to the grocery store. In the produce section, I ran into Linda, Thomas's younger sister, who hugged me with one arm while holding a bunch of celery in the other. "I booked the room," she said. "Thank God for you. That website had me going in circles. Glad it worked." It's beautiful, though, all those pictures. Daniel looks so much like Tommy now. He does around the eyes. And Claire's mother seems like a hoot. I studied a display of tomatoes as if choosing one required legal expertise. "You'll meet her at the wedding." "Oh, I met her on the website," Linda said, "several times." She laughed, waiting for me to join her. I made the sound a person makes when laughter would be useful but unavailable. Linda's face changed. "Oh, honey, I didn't mean, it's a mistake." "Of course it is. They're fixing it. Of course." Her quick agreement told me she had noticed more than the duplicate photograph. I placed 4 tomatoes in a plastic bag, although I only needed 2. Before we separated, Linda touched my wrist. "You know who you are to him," she said. It was meant as comfort. I carried it home like an insult. That afternoon, Daniel finally responded to the photograph. A blue thumbs up appeared beneath it. No words, no promise, just the small, cheerful hand. 10 minutes later, Claire texted me a photograph of the almond napkins spread over her dining room table. "Found 6 more," she wrote. "You're saving my life." I looked from her message to Daniel's little blue thumb. Then I opened the wedding website again. The restaurant recommendations had been updated. A sushi place now appeared beneath a fresh paragraph posted that afternoon. Claire knew how to edit the site. I went to the family page. Marianne was still there twice. I was still nowhere. Claire arrived Sunday with the napkins in 2 plastic storage bins and a bakery box balanced on top. "I brought bribes," she said when I opened the door. "You brought work disguised as dessert. That's what makes it a bribe." She kissed my cheek and walked straight to the dining room, where I had cleared the table and set out my sewing things. Claire had turned 35 that spring, but when she was pleased with herself, she still bounced once on the balls of her feet. It was a trait I had loved immediately. Daniel could become solemn about ordering lunch. Claire made ordinary decisions feel like the first scene of a musical. She lifted the lid of the bakery box. "Lemon bar or chocolate croissant? Which one did you buy for yourself?" "Both. I respect the honesty." She laughed and began unloading napkins. They were not all the same shade. Some were almond, some were ivory, and at least 12 were the color of an old bandage. Claire held up one with an enormous burgundy bee embroidered in the corner. "See? Aggressive. It's a letter. It looks like it owns property." I sat and examined the stitching. The monograms had been done by machine, which meant removing them without leaving holes would take patience. How many guests have last names beginning with B? Not enough to make this look intentional. We could tell everyone it stands for bride. Her face brightened. Could we? No. She dropped into the chair across from me. "I appreciate that you let me experience hope before destroying it." That was Claire at her best. Quick, silly, generous with laughter. It was one reason I had resisted thinking badly of her. People prefer villains who remain unpleasant while causing pain. Claire could erase me from her wedding and still remember that I liked lemon better than chocolate. I pulled a seam ripper from its case. Did Daniel show you the photograph I sent? Her hand stopped moving for half a second, then resumed sorting. The one by the refrigerator. He may have shown it to you by a refrigerator. It was taken outside his first apartment. Right? Yes. Cute picture. Is it usable? For what? I looked at her. Oh, she said. The site? Yes, the site. She folded one napkin into quarters, then unfolded it and lined up the edges more precisely. I haven't gone back into that page yet. You added a restaurant, the sushi place. Daniel's coworker said it was amazing, so you can still edit things. Of course. The word landed without embarrassment. She genuinely had not understood that the question was larger than software. I slid the point of the seam ripper under the burgundy thread. Then why haven't you added the picture? Claire leaned back. Daniel said you weren't really comfortable with the family page. He told you that after I saw it? No. Before. The first thread broke with a faint snap. What exactly did he say? I don't know. We were talking about parent stuff. He said you're private and don't like a lot of fuss. I don't. Right. That isn't the same as not including me. I know. She said it too quickly. I looked up. Claire's expression had changed from easy confidence to careful concern, as if she had just discovered a stain on a borrowed dress. I'm not trying to make you feel excluded, she said. You put your mother in twice. One of those is with the parents who aren't participating in the traditional roles. Your mother is participating in every traditional role. I mean, that section isn't literal. It's more about the people who shaped us. I shaped Daniel. I know that, Evelyn. She rarely called me Evelyn. Usually it was Evie, a name she had adopted on our third meeting without asking. Hearing my full name sounded oddly official. Then help me understand the page. Claire rubbed her palm over the napkin in front of her. My dad is not part of my life. You know that. I do. And Marianne did everything. She was both parents for me. I don't object to you honoring her. I wanted the page to feel balanced. Balanced between whom? Between me and Daniel. I waited. Claire's eyes moved toward the window. Outside, wind pushed a dried leaf in circles against the porch step. Daniel has his dad there, she said, and I have my mom, and Daniel's mother is where? That's not what I meant by balance. Then what did you mean? She stood and walked to the bakery box. She broke off the corner of a croissant, though she had said she wanted the whole thing. This is getting more loaded than it needs to be. It was loaded before you brought it into my dining room. Daniel told me you understood. Understood what? That the page wasn't a list of every relative. I'm not every relative. I didn't say you were. She ate the piece of croissant and wiped butter from her thumb. Her eyes had filled, but her voice stayed controlled. I really want us to have a good relationship. So do I. And I feel like no matter what I do with the wedding, somebody thinks I've done it wrong. Have I done that? No, but this feels like that. I asked to be named as my son's mother. I can put you on the page. She said it in the tone of someone conceding the window seat. I set the seam ripper down. I don't want you to put me there because I cornered you beside 80 napkins. 90. That certainly changes things. To my surprise, she laughed. It came out wet and reluctant. She sat again and pushed the lemon bar toward me. I'm not good when people are upset with me, she said. I noticed. Daniel says I start presenting exhibits. He starts driving. That made her laugh properly. For a moment, we were ourselves again, or the version of ourselves that existed when nothing important was being asked of either of us. She picked at a loose thread. I honestly thought you wouldn't care. Because Daniel told you that? Because you never seem to care about this kind of thing. At the engagement dinner, you didn't want to make a toast. You and Marianne had already scheduled 7. It was 4. It felt like 7. You said you were happy just listening. I was. That night. See? No, I don't see. Being quiet is not the same as having no place. Claire's face tightened again. I'm not trying to replace you. I didn't say you were. You're looking at me like I did. How am I looking at you? Like you're waiting for me to admit something. I considered lying. Maybe I am. Her phone buzzed on the table. Marianne's name appeared on the screen beside a photograph of the two of them touching cheeks. Claire turned it face down. I returned to the burgundy B. A dark ghost of the letter remained in the fabric where the stitches had been. These might not come out cleanly, I said. They don't have to be perfect. That is not the impression I've gotten from this wedding. She did not laugh that time. We worked in silence for a while. Claire sorted the napkins into piles. I removed thread. Every few minutes she reached for the croissant and tore off another piece as though refusing to admit she was eating it. Finally, she said, I'll update the page tonight. I nodded without thanking her. You can send me a different picture if you want. I sent the one I want. The quality might be a little low. It was taken on a phone, an old phone. Then it should match your vintage napkins. She gave me a look. You're funny when you're mad. I'm funny most of the time. You notice it when you're nervous. Her mouth tilted despite herself. At 4, Daniel came to pick her up. He let himself in through the kitchen door and called, Anybody decent? Not since 1998, I called back. He appeared in the dining room carrying 2 paper cups and wearing the navy jacket Claire had bought him, because she said his old one made him look like a divorced substitute teacher. His hair was damp from the mist outside. Peace offering, he said, placing a cup beside me. For what? It's coffee, Mom. It doesn't need a legal theory. Claire glanced at me, and I knew she was remembering what she had said about presenting exhibits. Daniel kissed the top of my head and then kissed Claire. His affection was easy when it required no decision. How many did you get done? He asked. Your mother has liberated 6 napkins from the tyranny of the letter B, Claire said. Only 84 to go. There are 6 without monograms, I said. 78. Basically done. He stole a piece of Claire's croissant. She slapped his hand without looking at him. Watching them, I could see the part of their marriage that would probably be good. They knew each other's rhythms. Daniel made Claire less frantic. Claire pulled Daniel into the room when he wanted to live inside his own head. They were not cruel people. That did not mean they could not be cruel together. Claire and I talked about the website, I said. Daniel stopped chewing. Claire stacked 2 piles of napkins that did not need stacking. Okay, he said. She said you told her I wouldn't want to be included. That's not what I said. You told her I don't like fuss. You don't. I would like my son to stop using my personality as an alibi. His eyes narrowed slightly. An alibi for what? Leaving me out. Can we not use courtroom language? I didn't. Alibi is courtroom language. It is also regular language. Claire closed one of the bins with more force than necessary. I said I would fix it. Daniel looked at her. You don't have to do that right now. I know I don't have to do it right now. I'm just saying, there are more urgent things. Neither of them seemed to hear what he had revealed. I lifted my coffee. It was exactly how I took it, 1 packet of sugar and enough milk to change the color but not the taste. Daniel remembered tiny things. That was part of what made the larger forgetting so difficult to name. I'm not asking for an emergency meeting, I said. I'm asking why you saw that page and thought it was acceptable. I told you I barely looked at it. Claire says you discussed it. We discussed parent bios in general, and you decided for me. I didn't decide anything. That was Daniel's favorite kind of decision, the kind nobody could hold because he had made it by stepping aside. Claire stood. I'm going to put the bins in the car. I'll get them, Daniel said. I can carry a plastic box. She lifted the first bin and went through the kitchen. Daniel watched her leave, then turned to me. You upset her. I asked her a question. She's under a lot of pressure. So am I, apparently. I have 78 monograms left. Mom, what do you want me to say? I want you to give her a little grace. I looked at the doorway Claire had gone through. I have been giving both of you grace for months. No one asked you to do anything you didn't offer. The sentence was so cleanly delivered that I knew he had said some version of it to himself before. I touched the bare patch where the first B had been. The letter was gone, but if I held the napkin toward the window, I could still see its shape. "You're right," I said. Daniel blinked. He had prepared for resistance. "You are?" I offered. His shoulders loosened. Then his phone rang. Marianne. He glanced at the screen and answered immediately. "Hey," he said, turning away from me. "Yes, she's right here. We're leaving now." He listened, smiling despite whatever she was saying. "No, don't order without us. I want the usual." He carried the second bin toward the kitchen, still on the phone. At the door, he looked back and pointed to the remaining napkins. "Sunday dinner next week?" he mouthed. I nodded from habit. He smiled, blew me a kiss, and disappeared. Through the window, I watched him load the bins into Claire's car. She said something. He set his free hand against the small of her back while he answered Marianne with the phone pressed to his ear. The three of them drove away together, Daniel still talking to the woman whose photograph had occupied both places where a mother might have stood. On the table in front of me were 84 napkins and the half-eaten lemon bar Claire had brought as a bribe. I opened the nearest storage bin again and placed the unfinished napkins inside. For the first time, I wondered what would happen if I left them that way. I did not touch them Monday. They stayed in the bin under my dining table, their large burgundy initials pressed against the cloudy plastic like evidence from a very dull crime. At 10 that morning, Claire sent me a spreadsheet of dietary restrictions. "Can you make this make sense?" she wrote. The document had 3 tabs, 5 shades of yellow, and one guest listed as allergic to fish except tuna. I nearly called her to ask whether the tuna had been informed, but I stopped myself. I was not trying to punish Claire. That was the difficult part. If I had wanted revenge, I could have refused everything and enjoyed the clean pleasure of anger. Instead, I wanted to help with the spreadsheet. I was good at making disorder behave. I also wanted my photograph on the page, not because I had forced 2 people into surrender, but because Daniel had noticed it belonged there. At noon, Claire sent another message. "Also, do you still have room for Aunt Beth and Cousin Owen during wedding week?" There was no greeting. No mention of Sunday. Just the next object moving down the belt. I answered. I thought Linda and Frank were staying here. "They are. Beth and Owen too, right?" Daniel said 4 was okay. My house had 2 bedrooms. Mine and the small room where Daniel slept when he visited, which had happened 3 times since Thomas died. The fold-out sofa could technically hold 2 adults if those adults disliked both sleep and each other. When did Daniel say 4? The typing dots appeared, vanished, then appeared again. He said you had plenty of room. I walked into the spare bedroom and looked at the full-sized bed. On the dresser sat a framed photograph of Daniel at 30, wearing the terrible orange tie I had given him as a joke, and he had worn to my birthday dinner anyway. Beside it were 2 unopened packages of new pillows I had bought for Linda and Frank. I wrote, "I can fit Linda and Frank. Beth and Owen will need a hotel." Claire called immediately. "Please don't hate me," she said. "I don't hate you. That tone says you could get there. My house does not grow extra bedrooms because Daniel feels optimistic." "I know. I should have checked." "Yes. It's just that the hotel block is almost full, and Beth is already irritated that her invitation came 3 days after everyone else's." "Why did it?" "Daniel put it under the passenger seat. That sounded like him. At least the universe remained recognizable." Claire lowered her voice. "Could Owen use the couch? And Beth? Maybe Linda and Beth could share? Have you met Linda?" "Once. Then you know Linda sleeps with a machine that sounds like a shop vacuum." Claire groaned. "I am going to walk into the ocean. You live 2 hours from the ocean. That gives us time." A reluctant laugh came through the phone. "Could we figure it out at brunch Saturday?" she asked. "Marianne's making enough food for the National Guard. Who's coming?" "Just family and wedding party people. Super casual." Marianne's version of casual involved printed menus, but I said I would come. And the napkins? Claire asked. I looked toward the dining room. I've started. That was true in the grammatical sense. You're amazing. I wanted to tell her not to say that when what she meant was useful. Instead, I asked when she planned to update the website. A silence. Tonight, she said. I swear. It was not updated that night. On Wednesday, a note appeared beneath the hotel information reminding guests that parking was not included. On Thursday, Claire added 3 photographs to the page about their first date. In one, Daniel was holding a hamburger with his eyes closed, looking as if he had discovered religion between the buns. The family page remained unchanged. I did not check Friday. I also did not open the napkin bin. Saturday morning, I baked an apple coffee cake for Marianne's brunch. She had told me not to bring anything, which experience had taught me meant I should bring something that looked homemade but not competitive. Marianne lived in a white colonial with black shutters and a brass knocker she polished often enough to blind delivery drivers. When I arrived, cars lined both sides of the street. Through the front window, I could see people holding orange drinks in champagne glasses. So much for just family. Marianne opened the door before I knocked. There she is. She drew me into a hug while I was still holding the cake. Marianne hugged with total commitment. She pressed her cheek to yours and kept one hand on your shoulder afterward, as if resisting a painful separation. You brought something, she said. Coffee cake. I told you not to. I know. Thank God. The frittata collapsed. She took the cake and turned toward the crowded living room. Everyone. This is Daniel's mother, Evelyn. About 15 adults looked up. I recognized Daniel's best man, Mark, and Claire's Aunt Beth. The rest smiled with the alert politeness of people trying to remember whether they had already met me online. Daniel crossed the room carrying a tray of glasses. Mom, you made it. I said I was coming. He kissed my cheek. He was wearing a pale gray sweater Marianne had once told him made his eyes look green. His eyes were brown. Drink? He asked. What are they? No idea. Marianne said, hand them out and don't ask questions. I'll take my chances. He gave me a glass and moved on. Across the room, Claire was speaking to a tall man with a beard and an expression of permanent apology. She saw me, raised one finger to say she would be there in a minute, then became trapped by Aunt Beth. Marianne placed my coffee cake on a sideboard between 2 arrangements of white flowers. The table was crowded with platters labeled in her slanted handwriting. Even the butter had been shaped into curls. I want you to meet my sister, Paula, she said, taking my elbow. Paula resembled Marianne after someone had turned down the brightness. Same blonde-gray hair, same careful lipstick, but her gaze was more direct. So you're Daniel's mother, she said. I am. Marianne talks about him constantly. Only good things, I hope. Oh, she's obsessed. Marianne laughed. I can't help it. He's the son I finally got. She reached toward Daniel as he passed and caught his sleeve. Come here, you. Daniel smiled and allowed himself to be pulled against her side. Marianne tucked her arm through his. Can you believe Claire used to say I'd never get a son? I said you'd scare away anyone I brought home, Claire called from across the room. And was I wrong to insist on standards? You made one man take his shoes off outside. He stepped in mud. It was February. People laughed. Daniel leaned down so Marianne could say something near his ear. I stood close enough to smell his aftershave. The son I finally got, Paula repeated warmly. That must be lovely for you. She was looking at Marianne. It is, Marianne said. Then she remembered me. I watched the recollection pass through her face like a small cloud. Of course, he came to us beautifully raised. She touched my arm. There it was, my consolation prize. I had done the preparation. She received the finished man. Daniel's eyes met mine for a moment. He knew. I saw that he knew. Then Mark called his name from the drinks table, and Daniel gave my shoulder a quick squeeze before walking away. Marianne moved smoothly into a story about Daniel repairing her back gate. I had heard it before. The repair had involved tightening 2 screws, but in Marianne's version, he had crossed a frozen mountain carrying lumber. Claire reached me at last. "I'm so glad you came," she said. "Your mother announced me. She does that. Last month, she introduced the plumber to a houseplant. Did the plant need plumbing? It needed boundaries." Claire took a sip from my glass without asking. "How are the napkins?" "In the bin." "Right, but how many are done?" 6. She nearly choked. "I thought you started Monday." I said I had started. Her gaze jumped toward Daniel, then back to me. "The wedding is in 11 weeks. Removing those monograms is damaging the fabric. You should think about whether you want to use them." "Why didn't you tell me that?" "I did. Sunday. You said they might not come out cleanly, and they aren't." She pressed her lips together. "Could we cover the letters with something? Another monogram? Maybe a little flower? On 90 napkins? 84. 6 are no longer usable." Her eyes widened. "They're ruined. They have a shadow where the stitching was. I showed you." "I thought you meant one." I took back my glass. Claire's face turned pink. She was embarrassed, but underneath the embarrassment was anger. Not because I had done anything exactly, because I had stopped turning her decisions into successful outcomes. "I guess I need to find new napkins," she said. "I think that would be wise." "Okay." She looked toward the sideboard. "Did you bring that cake?" "Yes. It looks good. Thank you. I'm going to check on the frittata." She walked away before I could tell her the frittata had already been declared dead. I went into the dining room where Marianne had laid out place cards for a brunch she had described as casual. Daniel sat between Claire and Marianne. My card was 3 seats away beside Paula and the apologetic man, who turned out to be Owen. I almost laughed. Not because it was funny, but because the arrangement was so complete. When everyone sat, Marianne stood at the head of the table and welcomed us. She thanked Beth for traveling, Mark for organizing Daniel's bachelor weekend, and our wonderful Claire for surviving wedding planning. Then she lifted her glass toward Daniel, and to the man who made our little family complete. Glasses rose around the table. Daniel looked pleased and uncomfortable, which was his preferred position in any conflict. He glanced at me again. This time I lifted my glass before he could decide what my face required of him. The orange drink was mostly grapefruit juice and something bitter. Beside me, Paula leaned close. "Marianne gets carried away," she murmured. "With brunch?" "With claiming people." I turned to her. She sliced into her frittata without looking up. She once called my second husband the brother she'd always wanted. We had a brother. What happened to him? He was sitting beside her. I laughed, and Marianne looked down the table to see what she had missed. Paula smiled into her plate. The rest of brunch moved in overlapping conversations. Beth complained about the hotel rates. Mark told a story about Daniel getting lost on a hiking trail. Marianne corrected details in stories she had not witnessed. Claire moved food around her plate and checked her phone under the table. When dessert was served, Daniel came around and crouched beside my chair. "You okay?" he asked quietly. "Why wouldn't I be?" He looked toward Marianne. "She didn't mean anything. I didn't say she did. She's excited. I can see that. You're doing the thing where you say everything's fine, but it isn't. You prefer the other thing?" "What other thing?" "When I tell you it isn't." His jaw tightened. "I'm trying to check on you." "No, you're trying to find out whether you need to feel guilty." Paula suddenly became very interested in her coffee. Daniel stood. "Can we talk later? We seem to do our best work that way." Before he could answer, Claire called him to look at something on her phone. He left. Paula waited until he was across the room. "Do you always let him off that easily?" she asked. I looked at her, surprised. She dabbed the corner of her mouth with Marianne's linen napkin. No monogram, no stain, perfectly white. "I didn't think I had," I said. Paula gave me a level look. Neither of us pretended she believed me. As Marianne passed behind us with the coffee pot, Paula straightened and asked whether anyone had tried the coffee cake. "I'm waiting for someone else to take the first piece," Marianne said. "Once I start, I'm not responsible for my actions. You made 6 dishes, Paula told her. None of them are cake. Marianne cut herself a narrow slice, tasted it, and closed her eyes. Evelyn, this is criminal. In a good way? There is no good way for crime. She cut a second, wider piece. That was the maddening thing about Marianne. She could make you feel appreciated moments after she had made you disappear. Aunt Beth leaned across the table. I hope Evelyn makes this during wedding week. I turned toward her. For breakfast, she added, although I'm not picky. Toast is fine. Owen stopped eating. Beth, he said quietly. What? I don't think that's arranged. Daniel said we were staying with his mother. Heads turned in the lazy, interested way heads turn when somebody drops a glass in a restaurant. Daniel was near the sideboard talking to Mark. He saw everyone looking and came over. What's up? Beth smiled. We're discussing your mother's breakfast menu. Daniel looked at me. I told Claire I have room for Linda and Frank, I said. Right, not 4 people. His face went blank in a way I recognized. Daniel had used the same expression at 12 when I found a wet towel stuffed behind the sofa. It did not deny the towel. It merely suggested the towel had emerged from a mystery larger than any one person. I thought you said the couch was available. The couch is available, the house is not. Then Owen can take the couch. Owen raised one hand. Owen can get a hotel. Beth frowned at him. The block is full. It isn't full, Claire said. It's nearly full. You told me it was full. I said the lower rate was almost gone. Marianne moved her cake plate aside. I have the upstairs room. Claire shook her head. We need that for hair and makeup. It's a room. Hair doesn't sleep. We're storing dresses in there. Beth looked from Claire to Marianne to me. I am not sleeping with Linda, she announced. No one had asked her to. Good, Owen said. We've solved one thing. Mark coughed into his napkin to hide a laugh. Daniel pulled out the empty chair beside me and sat on its edge. Mom, can we figure this out later? I figured it out Monday. You never told me. I told Claire. Claire's face sharpened. Don't put this all on me. I'm not. It sounds like you are. Daniel held up both hands. Nobody is putting anything on anybody. That should be the slogan for your whole wedding, I said. Paula made a small choking sound beside me. Daniel turned his head slowly. What is that supposed to mean? Before I could answer, Owen stood. I'll find something, he said. Beth can take my hotel room if she wants, and I'll stay wherever there's space. I'm not taking your room, Beth said. Then we'll get another. At full price? Yes, Beth, at full price. She sat back, wounded by his practicality. Marianne clapped her hands once. Solved. More coffee? It was not solved, but everyone accepted the coffee. After brunch, Marianne insisted on taking pictures in the backyard. Her patio had been arranged with pots of white chrysanthemums and 2 wooden chairs that looked decorative rather than safe. Just family first, she said, handing Mark her phone. Daniel and Claire stood beneath the maple tree. Marianne stepped in beside Claire, then waved at me. Evelyn, come on, I hesitated. Both mothers, she said, as if she had never suggested anything else. Daniel looked relieved when I joined them. He put an arm around my shoulders and an arm around Claire. Marianne leaned in from the other side. Closer, Mark said. You all look like you met in an elevator. We moved closer. Marianne rested her head against Claire's. Daniel squeezed my shoulder. For 3 seconds, we became exactly the family the photograph would later claim we had been. Mark took several pictures. Now one with the wedding party, Claire said. People moved across the lawn. Arms changed shoulders. Mark called names. I stepped away and watched Daniel laugh when Owen made antlers behind his head. Marianne came to stand beside me. I hope Beth didn't put you on the spot, she said. Daniel put me on the spot. Beth just sat there. He does overpromise. He always has. It comes from wanting everyone happy. I looked at her. Does it? She missed the edge in my voice, or chose to. He has such a good heart, she said. You did an incredible job with him. Again, I had the odd sensation of being praised for a casserole she was now serving. You care about him, I said. I adore him. I can tell. He's been wonderful to me since Claire's father left the picture. You have no idea how much it means to have a man around who actually shows up. The remark was not aimed at me. That almost made it worse. Daniel doesn't always show up, I said. Marianne laughed. Of course he does. I watched him across the lawn. He was pretending to push Mark out of a photograph, both of them grinning. You've had the best of him, I said. Her smile faded slightly. What does that mean? Nothing. No, tell me. I considered it. He shows up where being appreciated feels good. That's not always the same as showing up where he's needed. Marianne's expression became thoughtful rather than offended. It surprised me. I think that may be true of all of us, she said. Then Claire called her, and she went. For the first time all afternoon, I did not know whether I had underestimated her or she had simply found a graceful way to avoid understanding me. Daniel caught me by the front walk as I was leaving. Mom. I turned with my cake carrier under my arm. Marianne had kept the remaining coffee cake, so the carrier held only a few crumbs and the knife I had brought from home. He shoved his hands into his jacket pockets. That got weird. Which part? The room thing. I didn't make it weird. You could have just said we'd work it out. That would have meant I was going to work it out. It's 2 extra people for a few nights. In your house, that probably sounds easy. He looked back toward the front door. Claire is already embarrassed. She should be embarrassed with you. You made the promise. I thought you'd be okay with it. You didn't ask. I'm asking now. No. He rocked back on his heels. Daniel had heard me refuse things before. He had simply not heard it often enough to stop being surprised. Okay, he said. Fine. Fine. You don't have to say it like that. Like what? Like I'm taking advantage of you. I waited. He looked away first. I'll see you tomorrow? Tomorrow? Sunday dinner. You asked about next Sunday. This is next Sunday. Today is Saturday. Tomorrow is the Sunday I asked about. I know how weeks work, Daniel. His mouth twitched despite himself. For a second, I thought we might laugh and return to safer ground. Then he said, Claire has a tasting with Marianne, so it'll just be me. 6 o'clock. I'll bring wine. You always say that. I brought it once. You brought beer. It was craft beer. He kissed my cheek and went back inside. Daniel arrived the following evening at 6:23 carrying a grocery store bottle of red wine with a $5 off sticker still on it. See? He said, holding it up. Growth. I'm overwhelmed. He placed it on the counter and looked toward the dining room. What's in the bins? Napkins. You're keeping them under the table now? I'm not keeping them. You're taking them home. He stopped halfway through opening a drawer. Why? Because I'm not removing the rest of the monograms. Did Claire say she doesn't want them? I said, I'm not doing them. That's not what I asked. It's the answer I have. He opened his mouth, then closed it. I returned to slicing the pot roast. He stood there watching me move the knife through the meat. Is this because of the website? It's because the napkins are damaged when I remove the stitching. Claire can cover the marks. Then Claire can remove the stitching. You offered to help. I examined them. I did 6. It doesn't work. You could have told us sooner. I told her last Sunday. He pulled a chair away from the kitchen table and sat. I feel like you're doing all of this to make a point. Maybe I'm tired of making things disappear. What does that mean? Nothing you want to hear before dinner. He rubbed both hands over his face. I'm trying here. Are you? Yes. How? I talked to Claire. The page hasn't changed. She has other things going on. She has edited it 4 times. His eyes lifted. You're monitoring it? I saw the changes. That sounds like monitoring. I wanted to know whether she added my photograph. She will. When? I don't know. Why is it so difficult? It isn't difficult. It's just not a priority. The words hung between us. Daniel saw them after they had already left his mouth. His expression shifted, but he did not take them back. I put down the knife. Did you see the page before it went live? He looked at the wine bottle. Daniel. I saw a draft, and you saw Marianne's picture twice. It wasn't about putting her twice. That is literally what happened. It was about honoring Claire's family and Dad. Your father is not Claire's family. He's mine. So am I. I know that. Then why wasn't I there? He pushed his chair back and stood again, too restless to remain seated, because Claire had designed the page a certain way, and when I mentioned adding more, she got upset. She thought it was going to look like my side was taking over. Your side consisted of one dead man. That's not fair. Neither is math, apparently. Can you stop making jokes? If I stop, I may say something worse. His face reddened. I told her you probably wouldn't care, he said. I thought you wouldn't. You did not think that. Yes, I did. You hoped it. What's the difference? Thinking would have required you to think about me. He flinched. I saw it and hated that part of me was glad. I'm getting married in less than 3 months, he said. Every conversation turns into somebody's feelings. Claire cries about her dad. Marianne wants to control every detail. You're tracking website updates and refusing to do napkins. I am doing everything I can to keep this from becoming a disaster by deciding I'm the one person who can be hurt quietly. I didn't decide that. You approved the page. I let it go. For whom? He stared at me. I could hear the pot roast juices popping softly in the pan. On the counter, the wine waited unopened between us. I am asking for one photograph, I said. One sentence acknowledging that I am your mother, and I said we'll fix it. You have said that for a week. What do you want me to do? Call Claire in the middle of her tasting and order her to update it? I want you to care without needing instructions. His jaw tightened. I do care. Then act like it. Mom, please. Please what? He closed his eyes, and when he opened them, his voice had gone flat with exhaustion. Please don't make the wedding about you. For a few seconds, neither of us moved. Then I turned back to the cutting board. The roast is getting cold, I said. Daniel stared at me. That's it? What would you like? I don't know. A response. I have several. None of them should be said while I'm holding a knife. Come on. You said the website wasn't real life. You said you barely saw it. You said Claire would fix it. Now I know you saw it, understood it, and agreed to leave me out because disagreeing with your fiancé would have been unpleasant. I did not agree to leave you out. You agreed not to put me in. That is not the same thing. It is when the page is finished. He dragged both hands through his hair. This is exactly what I mean. Every word becomes evidence. You lied to me. I didn't lie. You barely looked at it. I barely did. You discussed whether to include me. That conversation took 30 seconds. Efficient. Jesus, Mom, do not speak to me like I am a problem you need to manage. Then stop acting like... He broke off. Like what? He looked at the doorway. Say it. Like everything I do is some test I'm failing. I asked one question. You never ask one question. You ask something, and then there's a right answer you've already decided on. There is a right answer to whether your mother belongs among the people who made you. This is what I'm talking about. He stepped away from the table. His chair scraped the floor. I'm not hungry anymore. That makes 2 of us. He went into the dining room. I heard the plastic bins shift, then the soft rattle of his keys. When he came back, he carried one bin against his chest and dragged the other with his fingertips. You don't need to take those now, I said. I thought you wanted them gone. I said I wasn't doing them. Fine. They're not your problem. He made the word your sound like something I had insisted upon. At the kitchen door, he stopped. Are Linda and Frank still staying here? Yes. He nodded. And you're still coming to the wedding? The question startled me. I haven't said I'm not. Okay. That sounded almost worried. I am worried. About me missing it or about what people would say. He stared at me long enough that I knew I had asked the wrong question if I wanted peace, and the right one if I wanted truth. "I can't do this tonight," he said. He carried the napkins out. The wine remained on the counter. I ate at the kitchen table after the roast had gone lukewarm. Daniel's plate sat across from me, the gravy beginning to skin over. I wrapped his portion in foil, then became angry at myself for doing it. I put it in the refrigerator anyway. At 8:30, Ruth called. "You sound terrible," she said after I answered. "You called me, and you answered terribly." I told her what Daniel had said. She was quiet. "Say something," I told her. "I'm deciding whether bail money is in my monthly budget. Don't be dramatic." "I'm not. I'm checking my banking app." I pressed my fingers to my forehead. He left without eating. Good. He can chew on that sentence. I made pot roast. "Evelyn, this is not the time to mourn beef." He asked whether I was still coming to the wedding. "What did you say?" "That I hadn't said I wasn't." "And are you?" "Of course I'm going." "Then why didn't you say that?" Because he shouldn't get to say something like that and immediately receive comfort. Ruth made a thoughtful humming sound. "What?" "Nothing. You never mean nothing. I think that may be the healthiest thing you've done in 10 years, letting a roast dry out, not rushing to tell him he can hurt you and keep everything exactly the same." I looked toward the refrigerator. "I've always gone," I said. "I know. That was not about the wedding." My phone stayed quiet the next morning. No apology from Daniel. No cheerful request from Claire. Around noon, I checked the website, then hated myself for checking. The restaurant page had a new photograph of a cocktail. Nothing else had changed. At 2, an email arrived from Claire with the subject line, "Wedding Week Master Schedule. Please review." The word master seemed optimistic. I opened the attachment. Claire had organized the week in half-hour blocks. There was a column for the event, a column for the location, and a column labeled Responsible Person. Marianne's name appeared beside the tasting, the bridal lunch, hair and makeup, the welcome toast, and family photographs. My name appeared beside guest check-in, vendor questions, welcome dinner setup, dietary cards, emergency sewing kit, and general family support. I read that phrase twice. General family support began at 9 Thursday morning and apparently continued until the ceremony Saturday afternoon. At the bottom, Claire had added, "This is just a draft, so please send corrections." I wrote, "Please remove me from welcome dinner setup, vendor questions, and guest check-in. I'll bring the dietary list once it's final. Linda and Frank will stay with me. I'm not available to host anyone else." I hovered over send. Then I added, "Also," Daniel took the napkins, "they cannot be altered without visible damage." I sent it. Claire called 6 minutes later. "Hi," she said. Her voice was bright enough to cut glass. "I got your email. I assumed you might. I guess I'm confused. About which part?" "Any of it." "You said you were happy to help." "I was. And now you're not?" "Now I'm being clear about what I can do. Why can't you answer vendor questions?" "Because I won't know the answers. You know most of the wedding details. I know the details you asked me to fix. That feels unfair. It wasn't meant as a compliment or criticism. Evelyn, I am really trying not to take this personally. Then don't." She exhaled. "Is this because of what Daniel said? He told you?" "He came home furious. I imagine he told you what I said. He told me you accused him of erasing you. He helped you do it. You are on the guest list. So is his dentist. His dentist isn't invited. Then this is worse than I thought. Can you not joke for 1 minute? Apparently, neither of you enjoys it." There was a long silence. When Claire spoke again, she sounded less angry and more tired. "I don't want to fight with you. I don't want to fight with you either." "Then why does it feel like you're withdrawing from the wedding?" "I am withdrawing from some work. At the worst possible time. The wedding is 11 weeks away." "Exactly. Everything is happening now." "Claire, I asked to be included on one page. You told me you would do it. I will. You have changed the website almost every day. Have you considered that I haven't changed that page because now anything I write is going to be judged?" "Yes. By the person you are writing about." That is so much pressure. I close my eyes. Is it? I want it to be sincere. Then be sincere. What if what I write isn't enough? One sentence would have been enough before you made it an argument. She made a small sound, somewhere between a sigh and a laugh. Do you know what my mother said? I rarely do until she announces it. She said I should add the picture and stop turning it into a referendum. That surprised me enough that I sat straighter. Marianne said that? Yes. What did Daniel say? Another pause. He said we should wait until everybody calms down. There was my son, building a waiting room for a problem he hoped would die before its name was called. Are you going to wait? I asked. I don't know. Thank you for being honest. That sounded sarcastic. It wasn't. She softened slightly. I liked that picture you sent. So did I. Daniel looks happy. He was. You do too. I was. I could use it. I waited. But not if it's going to feel like I'm admitting I did something malicious, she added. The opening closed. I didn't accuse you of being malicious. You said I erased you. You did. See? Claire. Intention does not put me back on the page. You keep saying the page like it's a public record. You keep saying it doesn't matter while refusing to change it. She went silent again. In the background, a door closed. I pictured her at the architecture firm where she worked, though she never talked about the buildings, only the clients. Claire was capable of arguing for 6 months over a window placement. Yet one photograph of me had somehow become an unbearable design constraint. I need help, she said finally. With what? All of it. The seating, the guests, my mother, Daniel. I need someone who isn't going to have a meltdown every time something goes wrong. And you thought that person was me. Yes. Her answer came without hesitation. It was almost a compliment. Why? Because you're calm. You don't make things about yourself. You just handle them. I looked at the schedule on my screen. General family support. Maybe I shouldn't have, she said. No, I replied. Maybe I shouldn't have. She did not understand. Neither had I until the words were out. After the call, I opened the dietary spreadsheet. I corrected the duplicated names, sorted the restrictions by table, and highlighted the guest whose relationship with tuna remained uncertain. Then I saved the file without sending it. That evening, Daniel texted, Claire says you're backing out of helping. I wrote, I told her what I'm still willing to do. She's overwhelmed. I know. You're making a point at her expense. I began 3 different answers. I deleted all of them. His next message arrived. I don't recognize you right now. I sat with that one. For 38 years, Daniel had recognized me as the woman who stayed after everyone else left, carried what nobody claimed, and said it was no trouble before anyone asked whether it was. I typed, You recognize me. I'm just saying no. He did not respond. An hour later, I received a message from Linda. Daniel says plans may be changing. Are Frank and I still welcome at your place? I called her immediately. Of course you are. Oh, good. He sounded strange. What did he say? That you were cutting back your involvement. I'm not cutting you. I didn't think you were. I just don't want to be in the middle. You aren't. Linda sighed. Weddings make people crazy. So I've heard. Whatever this is, don't let it become a rift. You and Daniel have always been so close. I looked at the last message he had sent me. I thought so, I said. After we hung up, I carried the wine he had left to the cabinet above the refrigerator. I opened the door and found 3 other bottles he had brought over the years and never stayed to drink. I put the new one beside them. 4 unopened apologies, lined up in the dark. The dress was Ruth's fault. I had gone shopping with the intention of finding something quiet, comfortable, and unlikely to appear in any photograph large enough to reveal my upper arms. Claire had sent both mothers a color palette called Desert Morning. It included sand, cream, pale gray, and something labeled mist that looked exactly like pale gray. Ruth scrolled through the palette while I searched a department store rack. They want you dressed as weather, she said. They want the pictures coordinated. Marianne can be sand. You can be thunder. I'm not wearing black. I didn't say black. She pulled a deep blue dress from the rack. It had a soft folded neckline, long sleeves, and a skirt that moved when she held it up. No, you haven't tried it on. It's blue. Excellent. You can still identify colors. Claire asked for neutrals. Blue is neutral. Ask the ocean. The ocean is not invited. It should be. It gave Claire somewhere to walk after your phone call. I took the dress from her before she began performing the entire conversation for nearby shoppers. In the fitting room, the zipper stuck halfway up. This is a sign, I called through the door. It's a zipper. Turn around. Ruth came in, tugged the fabric into place, and pulled the zipper smoothly to the top. The dress fit. Not in the polite way a saleswoman says something fits while looking toward a larger size. It followed my shoulders, skimmed my waist, and made the gray in my hair look silver instead of tired. I had spent years choosing clothes that did not require anyone to form an opinion. In the mirror, I looked like a woman attending an important event rather than helping at one. Ruth stood behind me. "Oh," she said, "don't." I didn't say anything. You said, "Oh." Because you look beautiful. I look noticeable. Yes, a tragedy. I turned sideways. The neckline showed less skin than most of Claire's approved dresses. The color was the only rebellion, if buying a dress could be called rebellion. Take a picture, I said. Ruth raised her phone. For Claire? So she can tell me no. Then why ask? Because I'm not trying to start a war. Ruth took the photograph. Most wars don't begin at Talbot's, she said. We sent it to Claire. Her response came before I had changed. Gorgeous shape. The blue may be a little strong with the florals, though. Could you try taupe? Ruth read over my shoulder. Tell her taupe died in the fitting room. I am not telling her that. Then tell her the florist can change the flowers. I changed into my clothes and carried the dress to the register. Are you buying it? Ruth asked. I can return it. That is not what I asked. I'm keeping my options open. You have raised option keeping to an art form. The cashier folded the blue dress into tissue paper. I tried not to think about the pale gray one I had left hanging in the fitting room. Daniel called as Ruth and I were leaving the store. Can you come for dinner Wednesday? He asked. No hello? No apology. An invitation dropped between us like a board across a stream. What's Wednesday? Dinner. I know the day's traditional use. He breathed out through his nose. Claire wants to go over seating and the photo schedule. Marianne's coming too, so it's a meeting, it's pasta. Those things can coexist. 6:30? I agreed. Ruth watched me put the phone away. You're going. Yes. Why? Because it's his wedding. She gave me a look. What? You keep answering different questions with that sentence. Daniel and Claire lived in a third-floor apartment above a bakery that closed at 4, but continued smelling like warm sugar all night. When I arrived Wednesday, Marianne was at the kitchen counter transferring salad from a plastic container into one of Claire's ceramic bowls. It tastes better in pottery, she said. I've always suspected. She kissed my cheek. Claire showed me the dress. I took off my coat. That was fast. You look stunning. Thank you. Much better than taupe. Claire was setting forks on the table. I didn't say it looked bad. You said it fought the flowers, Marianne replied. I said the blue might be strong. Flowers are resilient. Claire set down the last fork. You chose cream. I already own cream. You bought that dress last week. I own it now. Daniel came from the hallway carrying a stack of printer paper. Can we make it through appetizers before the dress summit? I'm not discussing my dress, I said. Claire looked at me. So you bought it? Yes. Her eyebrows lifted. Then she smiled, but it took visible effort. Great. It really is pretty. You don't have to like it. I do like it. For someone else's wedding. Marianne covered a laugh by reaching for the serving spoon. Can we eat? Daniel asked. Dinner was pen and vodka sauce from the restaurant downstairs. Daniel had put it in a glass casserole dish, but the aluminum takeout tray sat in the sink and betrayed him. Marianne talked about flowers. Claire talked about transportation. Daniel ate quickly, as if finishing first might excuse him from the conversation. I had brought a printed copy of the corrected dietary list. I placed it beside Claire's plate. "You fixed it?" she asked. I said I would. Her relief arrived before caution could stop it. "Thank you. The tuna allergy needs clarification. That's Mr. Lester. He says canned tuna is fine. Then he is not allergic to fish. He insists he is." "Put him near an exit," Marianne said. After dinner, Claire cleared the plates, and Daniel handed out the papers. The first page showed table assignments. Marianne was seated beside Claire at the central table. My name appeared at the same table between Mark and one of Daniel's co-workers. "I moved you up," Claire said. "From where?" She looked down at her copy. "It doesn't matter. Where was I?" "Table 3, Daniel said, with Aunt Linda." "Why?" "We were trying to balance the numbers." Marianne glanced between us. "The mothers should both be at the family table." "That's why we changed it," Claire said. I wondered who had suggested the change. The ceremony page listed the order in which everyone would enter. Marianne was to be seated last, immediately before the wedding party. My name appeared 4 lines earlier between Aunt Beth and remaining family. "Am I walking with Beth?" I asked. "No," Claire said. "An usher will take you. Why am I listed with remaining family?" "That's just how the venue coordinator grouped it." "Did the venue coordinator make this document?" "I did, but she gave me the order." Marianne leaned over the page. "Usually the groom's mother is seated right before the bride's mother." Claire's mouth tightened. "We wanted Mom's entrance to lead into the processional because she's walking alone." "We are both walking alone," I said. Daniel tapped the paper with his finger. "We can ask the coordinator." Claire looked at him. "We already did. We can ask again." "I don't care when I walk," I said. 3 faces turned toward me. "What?" Daniel looked suspicious. "You don't?" "No, I wanted to understand." Claire rearranged the corner of her paper. "Okay." The next page was the photography schedule. Bride with mother and maternal family, couple with bride's family, groom with bride's family, groom with best man, couple with all relatives. I read the list again. Where is the photograph of Daniel and me? Claire leaned closer as if the words might appear if she looked with me. "The photographer will get candids. There's a scheduled photograph of Daniel with your family, because we'll all already be there. I'll already be there." Daniel set his fork across his empty plate, though dinner had been cleared. "We can add one." Claire gave him a quick look. "The photographer said we have 25 minutes. A photograph takes 30 seconds, Marianne said. Nothing takes 30 seconds with this group." "I take direction beautifully," I told her. Marianne smiled. Claire did not. Daniel picked up a pen and wrote Mom plus Dan at the bottom of the list. There. He tapped the words once. I watched him use the same tone Claire had used when she offered to add me to the website. "Problem acknowledged. Window seat surrendered. Now please stop making everyone uncomfortable." "Thank you," I said. Daniel looked at me, trying to determine whether I meant it. The rest of the meeting moved through transportation and breakfast trays. Claire asked whether Linda and Frank could ride with me to the rehearsal. I said yes. Marianne offered to bring coffee for the bridal suite. Daniel volunteered to pick up 2 out-of-town friends at the airport, then discovered their flights arrived 4 hours apart. "You could ask Mark to take one," I said. "I'll figure it out. Ask Mark. I don't want to inconvenience him." I looked at Daniel. He saw it. "That's different," he said. No one said it wasn't. When we finished, Claire walked Marianne downstairs. Daniel stayed behind to gather the papers. He glanced at the shopping bag beside my chair. "Is that the dress?" "Yes." Claire showed me the picture. "And?" "You look nice." "Thank you." "She's not trying to control you." "I didn't say she was. She just has a vision." "So do I." "For the wedding?" "For myself." He stacked the pages against the table. I feel like everything is becoming symbolic now. It was symbolic when you put your father next to Marianne and left me off the family page. There it is. It never went anywhere. I don't know what you want from me. That has become very clear. He looked tired again. I almost reached for his arm. The old reflex rose in me so quickly that I felt it as a physical pull. Instead, I put on my coat. At home, I hung the blue dress in the back of my closet with the receipt looped over the hanger. Before bed, I checked the wedding website. My photograph had finally appeared. It was at the bottom of the family page, smaller than the others. Beneath it, Claire had written, Daniel with his mom, Evelyn, whose quiet love and behind-the-scenes support have helped make this celebration possible. I stared at the words until they blurred. They had put me on the page at last. Then they had explained why I belonged in the background. I took a screenshot before calling anyone. Experience had taught me that when other people changed something hurtful, they often wanted credit for the change and amnesia about the hurt. Ruth answered on the second ring. "Nobody's dead?" she asked. "Not technically." I sent her the screenshot. She was quiet while it arrived. Oh, hell. Is it as bad as I think? It thanks you like you donated folding chairs. I did help with chairs. That is not the point. I know. Do they have a separate page for the caterer? I sat on the edge of my bed, looking at the blue dress hanging inside the open closet. The photograph is smaller, I noticed. It may be the resolution. Evelyn. I'm trying to be fair. Fair is not the same as finding the nicest explanation for everybody else. What should I say? Say you're his mother, not a stagehand. That sounds dramatic. So does the people who made us, but they printed that. I slept badly and woke before 6. At 7:15, Claire texted. Did you see the update? She added a smiling face. I wrote, yes. The typing dots appeared immediately. Do you like it? I could have answered by text. Instead, I called. Claire sounded cautious when she picked up. Hi. Why did you write that I prefer to be behind the scenes? I didn't say you prefer it. You said my behind-the-scenes support helped make the celebration possible. Well, it has. That is not the relationship I asked you to acknowledge. I thought it was nice. Your mother's paragraph says she taught you how to love. Mine thanks me for helping with the event. It says quiet love. Then it explains that love as labor. Claire inhaled slowly. I spent 40 minutes on that caption. I believe you. And I showed it to Daniel. Of course you did. He liked it. Of course he did. What is that supposed to mean? It sounds exactly like something Daniel would find flattering to me and convenient for him. Her voice sharpened. You asked to be included. I included you. I asked to be named as his mother. It says you're his mom. In the smallest type on the page, I cannot control how the template formats different sections. You control which section I'm in. Do you want me to remove the whole thing? No, I want you to change the caption. To what? Daniel and his mother, Evelyn. That's it? That's it. That sounds cold. It sounds accurate. I was trying to say something meaningful. You were trying to explain why I belong at the bottom. Oh my God. She moved the phone away, but not far enough to hide the words. Claire. No, I'm sorry, but this is impossible. If I leave you off, I'm erasing you. If I put you on, I'm putting you in the wrong place. If I write something, I'm defining you. If I don't write enough, I'm cold. You managed to write about your mother without making her useful to you. That is completely different. Why? Because she raised me alone. The words struck harder than Claire intended. I knew it the moment silence followed them. I'm sorry, she said. I raised Daniel. I know, I didn't mean... His father left our marriage when Daniel was 15. He took Daniel every other weekend when work didn't interfere. He forgot birthdays, paid support late, and was still the person Daniel wanted whenever he walked into a room. I spent years refusing to make my son responsible for how angry that made me. Then Thomas died, and I let Daniel remember him as steady because grief does not need a fact checker. I didn't know. No, you didn't. I'm sorry. It was the first apology she had given me without attaching an explanation. I waited for it to settle. Then she said, "Daniel told me you and his dad were good friends after the divorce. We became civil. He made it sound different. Daniel likes stories where nobody failed anyone." Claire was quiet. "I really did think the caption was loving," she said. "I believe you. Do you still want me to change it?" "Yes." "Okay." At 9, I refreshed the page. My photograph was gone. I waited 20 minutes, assuming she was editing, then an hour. At noon, I checked again. Marianne remained twice. Thomas remained steady. The bottom section had vanished completely. I did not call. Daniel did. "What happened now?" he asked. It was not a greeting. It was an accusation wearing the clothes of a question. "You tell me." "Claire is crying in the bathroom at work. I asked her to change one sentence. She said you hated the whole thing. I said exactly what I wanted it to say. She deleted it because nothing is good enough for you. Daniel and his mother, Evelyn." That was what I asked for. That's barely a caption. It is also the truth. She was trying to thank you. I do not want to be thanked for earning a place in your family. You are twisting this. Then untwist it for me. He went silent. "Why can everyone else simply belong?" I asked. "Why does my place need to be justified by how much work I have done for the wedding? It doesn't. Then why did you approve that paragraph?" "I didn't approve it." She showed it to me. "Did you say it was good?" I said it was fine. "There is your approval. I was trying to support my fiancé, and I was the least expensive person to do it at. Do you hear yourself?" Finally. He blew out a breath. "You keep moving the goalposts. I asked for one photograph and one sentence identifying me as your mother, and you got it. For less than 12 hours. Because you complained. Because it turned me into staff. No one thinks of you as staff." I looked at the master schedule still open on my laptop. I'm listed under General Family Support. That is a heading on a spreadsheet. It's more honest than the website. "Mom, what do you want? I told you." No, beyond the stupid page. There it was, at last. Stupid. "I want you to stop acting as if Claire is doing something to both of us and you're standing in the middle." I am in the middle. No, you are beside her. That is where you should be. But when she hurts me, and you defend it, you are not caught between us. You have chosen. That sounds like you want me to choose you instead. I want you to recognize that choosing her does not require helping her reduce me. Neither of us spoke. I could hear him breathing. "I'm still coming to the wedding," I said. "Linda and Frank can still stay with me. I'll bring the dietary list I finished. But I'm not doing setup, vendor questions, emergency sewing, or general support. I will attend as your mother, not work behind the scenes to earn the name. You're punishing us. Not working is not punishment. It is when you offered. I offered before I understood the arrangement." "What arrangement?" "The one where Marianne is family and I am help. That is not true. Then my stepping back should not create a crisis." He had no answer. "I need to go," he said. "All right. Are you going to call Claire?" "No. She apologized to you, and I accepted it. She's waiting for you to reassure her. That is not my job." He hung up. The silence after the call felt different from our other silences. Those had been pauses inside a relationship I assumed would continue. This one had edges. For nearly 3 weeks, Daniel did not call. He sent 2 messages. One asked for Linda's flight number, which I provided. The other was a photograph of a restaurant sign we both found funny. I gave it a heart because withholding a heart felt childish, and adding words felt dangerous. Claire sent no requests. My dining room looked larger without the napkin bins. On Sunday evenings, I kept catching myself planning meals for 3. The first Sunday, I made too much chicken. The second, I ate popcorn over the sink and told myself I enjoyed the freedom. The third, Ruth came over with Chinese food and inspected my refrigerator. "You still have his pot roast," she said. "It's in the freezer, in a container labeled Daniel." So? So you froze an argument. I froze food. She took it out. Do you want this? Yes. To eat? No. She put it back without comment. I began noticing how often Daniel had occupied my mind without occupying my house. I had called him before buying a new lamp because he once said the old one looked dated. I had kept his favorite crackers in the pantry even though he rarely visited. I knew the exact kind of coffee Claire drank, the days Daniel worked from home, and which intersection near their apartment made him swear. I had mistaken knowing the details of his life for being included in it. Marianne appeared on my porch on the third Thursday, carrying a paper bag. I brought olive bread, she said. Is that an apology? No, I'm not foolish enough to apologize with olives. I let her in. She stood in my kitchen while I made coffee and looked at the 4 wine bottles above the refrigerator. Those yours? She asked. Daniel brings them. You don't drink them? He doesn't stay. She studied them for a moment, then sat. I told Claire to change the caption, she said. She removed it. I know. Did you tell her to do that? No. I poured coffee into 2 mugs. Why are you here, Marianne? She wrapped both hands around the mug but did not drink. Because I think this has gotten out of hand. That usually means the hurt person should become quieter. Not this time. I sat across from her. She looked less arranged than usual. No pearls, no lipstick. Her hair had been tucked behind one ear and left there. I like being important to them, she said. Probably too much. The honesty disarmed me. Claire and I have been alone together a long time. Then Daniel came, and he made everything feel bigger. I didn't think about what it looked like to claim him in front of you. You did it more than once. I know. He never stopped you. No. She looked down into her coffee. He likes being claimed, she said. Claire likes people to be where she puts them, and you make it very easy for everyone to believe you don't need a place. I leaned back. That sounded almost like blame. It was recognition. Of what? Of why they keep doing it. And why do you? She met my eyes. Because being chosen feels good, Evelyn. Even when you know someone else is paying for it. The kitchen went quiet. Then her phone lit on the table. Daniel's name appeared on the screen. Marianne looked at it, then at me. For once, she let it ring. The ringing stopped. Marianne turned the phone face down. He'll call again, I said. He usually does. And you usually answer. I usually like being needed. She gave me a look that made clear she knew exactly whose kitchen she was sitting in. I tore the end from the olive loaf and put it on a plate. What did you say to Claire about the website? That both mothers should be represented equally. How did she take that? She asked whether you'd recruited me. Have I? No, you're not very persuasive. I smiled despite myself. Marianne added, she thinks changing it again will look like she did something wrong. She did. Yes. The directness startled me. Daniel told her to wait, Marianne continued. He believes time is a cleaning product. That came from his father. Thomas? You say that like you knew him. I feel as if I do. Daniel tells stories. He tells selected stories. Don't we all? Her phone rang again. Daniel. This time she silenced it with the button on the side. He's probably calling about the wine pickup, she said. He calls you about wine. He asked me to help choose it. Does he know you don't drink red? Marianne blinked. How do you know that? You leave it untouched at every dinner. That is mildly alarming. I notice things. Yes, she said. I'm beginning to understand that. She took a bite of olive bread. What do you want me to do? She asked. About Daniel? About my part in this. The question was so unusual that I needed time to trust it. I don't know. I could ask Claire to take down my second picture. She'll think I demanded it. I'll tell her you didn't. She'll think I made you tell her. Marianne considered that. She does build very complete explanations. She designs buildings, mostly office lobbies. That explains a great deal. Marianne smiled, then became serious again. I don't want to be the reason you're not there. You aren't. I am some of it. You didn't make Daniel approve the page. No, but I accepted the place they gave me without looking at whose place it was. I poured more coffee into her mug. That's closer, I said. To an apology? To the truth. She nodded as if I had handed her something fragile. Before she left, she picked up one of the wine bottles and examined the discount sticker. Terrible choice, she said. He was proud of it. Daniel knows nothing about wine. Daniel knows labels. Those are different things. At the door, she hugged me. This time, it was not her full public embrace. It was brief and almost awkward. I'm glad you bought the blue dress, she said. How do you know I bought it? You sent Claire a picture from a fitting room. No woman over 60 agrees to that humiliation without buying the dress. After she drove away, I put the olive bread in the freezer beside Daniel's pot roast. The website changed the next morning. Marianne's second photograph was gone. Thomas remained alone under the paragraph about the parents whose love had shaped them. Marianne's main biography was unchanged. My photograph did not return. Claire sent no explanation. Neither did Daniel. I stopped checking after that. The blue dress needed the hem raised by half an inch. I took it to an alteration shop across town rather than fixing it myself. The woman behind the counter pinned it while I stood on a small platform in my socks. You sew? She asked, noticing the way I watched her measure. A little. You could do this. Yes. Then why pay me? I looked at myself in the mirror. Because I want to pick it up finished. She nodded. Best reason there is. By the time Linda and Frank rolled their suitcases up my front walk, the spare room had fresh sheets, the bathroom held new towels, and the wedding countdown on Claire's website had reached 4 days. Linda hugged me before taking off her coat. You look thin, she said. I'm the same weight. Then your sweater is lying. Frank entered behind her carrying 2 suitcases and the black case containing his breathing machine. Where's the outlet? He asked. Hello to you too. He kissed my cheek. I can love you and need electricity. Some people made their needs easy to hold. Linda had brought 3 pairs of shoes for a 3-day visit. She lined them neatly beneath the dresser, then moved them twice. Frank tested the mattress, found it acceptable, and went in search of ice. You didn't have to do all this, Linda said, touching the stack of towels. I know. She looked at me carefully. Daniel said you were upset, did he? He didn't give details. That is one of his talents. He said the website got misunderstood. By whom? He wasn't clear. He saw it before it went live. Claire listed her mother twice and me nowhere. He told her I wouldn't care. Linda sat on the edge of the bed. Oh. Then they added me with a caption thanking me for working behind the scenes. I asked them to change it, so they removed me again. Oh, she repeated. Your range is impressive. I'm trying not to say something unhelpful. Try something helpful. She rubbed her hand over the new towel. Tommy used to do that. Do what? Tell people what they wanted, then act confused when the promises met each other. I sat beside her. Daniel is not his father. No. But he learned how to keep his hands clean. That was as close as Linda had ever come to criticizing her brother. Frank called from the hallway. Is the ice maker supposed to sound angry? Yes, I called. It resents guests. Linda smiled, then touched my knee. I don't want you to miss the wedding. I'm not missing it. Daniel seemed unsure. Daniel is unsure because I stopped reassuring him. Are you going to the welcome dinner? Yes. Helping set up? No. Her eyes widened slightly. What? Nothing. I've just never heard you say no without explaining for 10 minutes. I explained to them. Did they listen? No. Then maybe you should have saved the 10 minutes. At 3 that afternoon, Claire called. Linda was unpacking in the spare room. Frank had found the ice and was now trying to understand my television remote. Hi, Claire said. Quick emergency. No one should begin a wedding sentence that way. It's Mom's dress. What happened? The side seam is pulling near the zipper. The shop says they can't take it until next week. Then she needs another shop. She's tried 3. Has she tried the place on Bowman Avenue? They're booked. The alteration shop where my blue dress had been finished beautifully and on time. What are you asking me? Could you bring your sewing stuff Saturday morning? It's probably just a few stitches. I'm arriving at 1. The photographers start at 11. My first scheduled photograph is at 1:30. You could come at 10. No. She was silent. I don't mean to be difficult, I said. I told you I'm not doing emergency sewing. I know, but this is an actual emergency. It is a loose seam. If it opens, my mother can't wear the dress. Then she needs a backup. You can fix it in 5 minutes. If it takes 5 minutes, you can fix it. I don't sew. You have an emergency sewing kit on your schedule. That's different. How? It's for emergencies. We both heard it. Claire sighed. I'm sorry, that sounded ridiculous. Yes. I just don't know what to do. Call the venue. Ask whether they know a tailor who handles weddings. They will. Could you call them? No. Another silence. Okay, she said. Claire? What? Did Marianne ask you to call me? No. She told me not to. That mattered. Then listen to her. After we hung up, I returned to the living room. Frank held the remote with both hands. I found a channel that sells knives, he said. You pass the news channels, go back. I prefer the knives. Linda appeared in the doorway. Wedding emergency? Loose seam. Are you fixing it? No. She waited for the rest. There was no rest. Her eyebrows rose, then she smiled. Good for you. It did not feel good. At 6, Marianne texted me a photograph of her dress hanging inside a clear garment bag. A neat line of dark stitches reinforced the side seam. The venue knew someone, she wrote. 20 minutes. Crisis survived. I sent back a thumbs up. I understood why Daniel liked it. The little blue hand ended a conversation without requiring intimacy. He arrived at my house just after 9 the next morning. Linda and Frank had gone to breakfast with Beth and Owen. I was ironing the blouse I planned to wear to the rehearsal dinner when he knocked. He stood on the porch holding a cardboard tray with 2 coffees. I come bearing caffeine, he said. You remembered where I live. I've been busy. So, I've heard. He handed me 1 cup, 1 sugar, enough milk. Exact. Can I come in? I stepped aside. He followed me to the kitchen and looked around as if checking for changes. His eyes stopped on the cabinet above the refrigerator. You still have that wine? All 4 bottles. 4? You repeat gestures. I thought we drank some of those. You left before dinner. Every time? Apparently. He put his coffee down. Claire told me about the dress. Mine or Marianne's? Marianne's. It was fixed. She said you wouldn't help. I told her weeks ago I would not be doing emergency sewing. You could have made an exception. Marianne told her not to ask me. I know, but Claire was panicking. Claire's panic is not a command. He walked to the window over the sink. I don't want this weekend to be awful. Neither do I. Can we call a truce? A truce requires 2 people at war. You know what I mean. I do. You want me not to mention anything uncomfortable until after the wedding. I want us to get through 48 hours. Then we can go back to not speaking? That's not what I said. It is what we've been doing. He turned. You could call me, too. I could. Why haven't you? Because you said something cruel, then waited for me to repair the distance it created. I said I was under pressure. You said I was making your wedding about me. I'm sorry it came out that way. It came out as a complete sentence. His mouth tightened. I'm trying to apologize. No, you're trying to get past it. What is the difference to you? One requires you to know what you did. He stared toward the doorway. From the spare room came the faint electronic hum of Frank's breathing machine, still plugged in though he was gone. I should go, Daniel said. You just got here. I have to pick up the suits. Of course. He picked up his coffee. At the door he turned back. Please come tomorrow, he said. To the rehearsal? All of it. There was fear in his face now, not of embarrassment or gossip, of me truly staying away. I said I would. He nodded. Wear the blue dress Saturday. I studied him. Claire told me it looked good, he said. Do you think it does? Yes. The answer was immediate. It was such a small piece of honesty that I nearly thanked him. Instead, I said, I'll see you tomorrow." After he left, I checked my phone. Claire had sent the final rehearsal dinner seating chart. My name appeared at the family table, directly beside Daniel. For the first time in weeks, I let myself believe they had heard me. Ruth stood in my bedroom holding a pearl earring in one hand and a silver hoop in the other. "Pearl says dignified mother," she said. "Hoop says she may leave through a window. It's a restaurant. The windows don't open. Pearls, then." She had known Daniel since he was in college and had been invited to the rehearsal dinner as my guest. When I asked whether she minded entering a room full of people whose private behavior she had already reviewed, she said that described every family event she had attended since 1987. I wore a dark green blouse and black pants. The blue dress remained in its garment bag for the wedding. "You look nice," Ruth said. "You sound surprised. I'm surprised you haven't hidden a seam ripper in your purse. I have tissues, aspirin, safety pins, and mints." "Of course you do." I removed the safety pins. The ceremony rehearsal took place at a restored brick hall beside a river. The building had once been a textile mill, although everything inside had been sanded, painted, strung with lights, and priced beyond recognition. Tall windows overlooked water moving darkly between bare trees. Claire stood near the front with the venue coordinator, a woman named Angela who wore a headset, though no music was playing. Daniel and Mark were rearranging chairs that did not need rearranging. When Daniel saw me, he smiled. "You came. You keep being surprised. I'm not surprised. You said it like a man spotting land." He hugged me. A real hug this time, both arms around me, long enough for me to smell the clean starch of his shirt. Ruth watched over his shoulder. When he released me, she said, "I'm here to enforce the 48-hour truce." Daniel looked at me. I told her nothing. "You told me everything," Ruth said, "but I signed a confidentiality agreement in my heart." He laughed, which was what she wanted. Claire approached carrying a clipboard and 3 pens tucked into her hair. "Hi, Evelyn." "Hi, Ruth." She hugged us both. Her body felt rigid even while her voice stayed warm. "The venue changed the aisle timing," she said, "so if everyone could please go where Angela tells you, even if it seems wrong, it will be right eventually." "That sounds like religion," Ruth said. Claire blinked, then laughed. Marianne came through the side door wearing the cream dress with the repaired seam. It was elegant and simple, with a soft jacket that skimmed her hips. "You're wearing it now?" I asked. "Test run." She turned once, checking the side. "Beautiful stitches," I said. "Terrifying woman." She held pins in her mouth. "The good ones do." Marianne touched my elbow. "Thank you for recommending the venue. I recommended that Claire call them." "Exactly. She did not mention that I could have fixed it. Neither did I." Angela clapped her hands and gathered everyone at the back of the hall. Ushers were assigned. The wedding party was placed in order. Marianne and I stood beside each other while Claire argued quietly with Angela about whether a 6-second pause before the processional would feel elegant or empty. "Empty," Angela said. "Trust me. I want people to settle. They will settle when they see the bride." Claire looked unconvinced but surrendered. Angela checked her list. "Mother of the groom?" I raised my hand. "You'll go after the general family and before the mother of the bride." Claire looked down at her clipboard. "I thought they were both after general family." Angela adjusted her headset. "We changed it." "Who changed it?" "I did," Marianne said. Claire turned toward her. "The mothers should be together in the order," Marianne said. "It makes sense." A small silence followed. Then Daniel said, "It does." Claire looked at him. He held her gaze. "Fine," she said. It was not gracious, but it was agreement. An usher named Sam took my arm and walked me down the aisle. At the front, I sat on Daniel's side. Then Marianne followed and sat across from me. The movement took less than a minute. Nothing shattered. No flower arrangements died from the pressure of my visibility. When the wedding party practiced, Daniel stood beneath the wooden arch and watched Claire approach. His face changed. I had seen that expression only once before. When he was 28 and told me he had finally found work he believed he could do well. Wonder mixed with terror. The look of a man encountering the life he had requested. Claire reached him. They joined hands. Whatever else was true, they loved each other. That fact did not excuse them. It made the story harder. After the rehearsal, everyone drove to a restaurant 10 minutes away. The private room had exposed brick walls, small candles on the tables, and a chalkboard that said, Daniel plus Claire in letters surrounded by vines. The seating chart stood on an easel near the entrance. I found the family table. Daniel's name. Claire's. Marianne's, Paula's. Mark's. Daniel's godfather, Richard. Aunt Beth. Mine was not there. I checked the side tables. No Evelyn. Ruth stood behind me. Maybe they've seated you under an alias. I was on the final chart. I know. You saw it? You showed it to me. I had. Because I had wanted someone else to confirm that my name was truly there. Claire came into the room carrying a box of place cards. What's wrong? She asked. My card is missing. She looked at the family table, then flipped through the stack in her hands. That's weird. I'm not on the chart. I sent the updated version. She showed it to me, Ruth said. Claire searched the place cards more quickly. I know I had one. Marianne approached. What happened? Evelyn's place card isn't here. Marianne looked at the table. Put her beside Daniel. Beth is beside Daniel. Move Beth. Aunt Beth, who had just entered, heard her name. Why am I moving? You're not, Claire said. Nobody's moving yet. Daniel came over, loosening his tie. What's going on? There's a mistake with the seating, Claire said. My seat is gone, I told him. His eyes went to the chart. Didn't we fix that? We did, Claire said. I sent the restaurant the new file. Maybe they printed the old one. The old one had her at table 3. Everyone looked toward table 3. There were 8 place cards, none of them mine. Ruth picked up the chart from the easel and inspected the back as if my name might have slipped around it. I'm not anywhere, I said. Claire's face had lost color. I don't know what happened. Marianne looked at Daniel. Give Evelyn your godfather's seat and put Richard with Mark's family. Why am I being moved? Richard asked from several feet away. You aren't yet, Claire called. Should I stop listening? Yes, Daniel and Claire said together. People nearby had begun pretending not to watch. This is an oversight, Claire told me. Did you send the final chart? Yes. Did you check it? I made it. Did Daniel see it? Claire looked at him. Daniel rubbed the back of his neck. Can we just get a chair? He asked. There were 8 chairs at the family table. He crossed to a small table near the wall, took an empty chair, and carried it toward us. The scene was absurdly ordinary. A wooden chair in my son's hands, a room full of adults waiting to eat salad. He placed it between his seat and the corner of the table. There, he said. We'll squeeze in. No one would have described him as cruel. He had solved the immediate problem. He had made room, after everyone else had been arranged. Daniel, I said quietly. What? Did you see the seating chart Claire sent the restaurant? He looked at her. Not the final one. The one before it. Mom, I don't know. There were 5 versions. Was I on the version you saw? He pressed his lips together. Daniel, you were at table 3. After I told you why that hurt? I thought Claire was changing it, but you saw it. It was a draft, and you left it to her. I thought she would handle it. Claire's face tightened. I did handle it. Then why isn't she on the chart? Marianne asked. Claire turned toward her mother. I don't know. Everybody stop, Daniel said. She has a seat now. He gestured toward the chair as if the chair had settled the question. I looked at him. He truly did not understand. The website, the photo schedule, the ceremony order, the family table. Each time, someone removed me and Daniel waited to see whether I would tolerate it. If I objected, he dragged over a chair and called the damage repaired. I'm not sitting there, I said. His hand dropped. What? I'm not sitting in a chair you found after everyone else had a place. Mom, come on. I came. I rehearsed. I stood where I was told. I tried. It's a printing mistake. Then why wasn't I on the version you saw and we fixed that? No. Claire said she would fix it and you stopped caring. Claire stepped forward. That isn't fair. No, I said. It isn't. Ruth touched my arm. Daniel looked around at the people watching. Can we talk outside? There is nothing left to talk about tonight. His voice dropped. Please don't do this here. I almost laughed. There it was again. Not are you hurt? Not why does this keep happening? Only not here, where discomfort might become visible. I picked up my purse. I love you, I told him, but I am not going to sit at the edge of a table and help everyone pretend you saved me a place. His face changed. Are you leaving? Yes. The dinner hasn't started. I know. Mom. He reached for me, then stopped before touching my arm. I wanted him to say the one thing that might have held me there. I did not even know what it was. Perhaps neither did he. Marianne removed her own place card from the family table. Take mine, she said. No. Evelyn, this is not your chair to fix. She understood. I saw it. Daniel did not. You're turning an accident into a statement, he said. No, Daniel, I'm refusing to help you turn a statement into an accident. I walked out. No one applauded. No one followed except Ruth. In the parking lot, cold air struck my face. I reached for my keys and dropped them. Ruth picked them up. I'm driving. I can drive. You can barely breathe. I am breathing badly. She opened the passenger door. I sat because my knees had begun to shake. Through the restaurant window, I could see people moving around the family table. Daniel stood beside the extra chair. Claire spoke to him with both hands raised. Marianne remained still, holding her place card. Ruth got behind the wheel and started the car. My phone rang before we left the parking lot. Daniel. I silenced it. It rang again. Then Claire. Then Daniel. Ruth drove. I made it 3 blocks before the first sob came out, low and ugly, pulled from a place I'd been holding closed for years. Ruth kept her eyes on the road. She did not tell me I was right. She did not tell me I was strong. She reached across the console and held my hand while I cried hard enough to miss the turn toward my own house. At the next light, my phone lit once more. A message from Daniel. Please tell me you're still coming tomorrow. I read it twice. Then I turned the phone face down on my lap. Ruth did not ask whether I planned to answer him until we were inside my kitchen. Well, she said, I don't know. That is allowed tonight. She filled a glass with water and put it in front of me. My hands had stopped shaking, but my chest still hurt from trying not to cry again. Linda and Frank returned 20 minutes later. Linda came through the door first, still wearing her coat. What happened? You were there. I saw you leave. I didn't hear all of it. Frank closed the door behind them. Beth heard all of it. Beth can hear butter soften, Linda said. She came to the table and crouched beside me. Are you all right? No. She nodded, accepting the answer without trying to improve it. Daniel looked sick, she said. Good, Ruth replied. Linda glanced at her. Not medically, Ruth added. Frank took off his tie and draped it over the back of a chair. For what it's worth, he said. The restaurant manager showed Claire the file they printed. It was sent 2 days ago. I looked at him. Was I on it? No. Linda sat across from me. Claire swore she sent the wrong version by mistake. She probably did, I said. Ruth folded her arms. That doesn't explain why there was no card. They used the chart to make the cards, Frank said. Same file. I understand the technology, Frank. I'm staying factual. He was good at facts. They gave him somewhere to stand when other people were drowning. Linda touched my hand. Are you going tomorrow? I don't know. Her expression tightened. I won't tell you what to do. Thank you. But if you don't go, be sure you are missing it for yourself and not to hurt him. Ruth opened her mouth. She's right, I said. Ruth closed it again. Linda went upstairs. Frank followed with his tie over one shoulder. Ruth stayed at the table until after midnight, saying almost nothing. She slept on my sofa because she did not trust me to be alone and because, as she put it, she had already taken off her shoes. I woke at 4:30. My phone held 2 missed calls from Daniel, one from Claire and a voicemail. I listened in the dark. "Mom, it's me. I'm sorry, I should have checked the chart. Claire thinks she sent the wrong file, but that's not. I should have checked. When we realized your card wasn't there, I should have understood how it looked. I just wanted to fix it fast. I know you're angry. I know you have a right to be. Please come tomorrow. I want you there." It was the closest he had come. He still called it how it looked, but he had said he wanted me. I listened a second time. At 6, I replied, "I will be at the ceremony." He answered immediately. "Thank you." Then, "Are you coming to the reception?" I did not respond. The blue dress hung on the closet door, dark in the early light. I touched the sleeve. For weeks, I had pictured wearing it while Daniel danced, while glasses lifted, while someone photographed me at the family table. I had imagined the evening surviving all the ugliness before it. That future had not disappeared when my place card did. I was choosing to leave it behind. The cost of that choice sat heavily in the room. Ruth woke when she heard the shower. "Decision?" she called through the bathroom door. "Ceremony." And? Not the reception. She was quiet long enough that I opened the door with a towel around my hair. "Say it. I'm deciding whether to support you or argue. You can do both. I think you may regret missing the reception. I already regret that I can't stay. That's not the same thing." "No." "Do you want me to leave with you?" "You don't have to." "I know." I looked at her. "Yes," I said. "I do." She nodded. "Then I will." At 12:30, Linda came into my bedroom while I was fastening the pearl earrings. She stopped in the doorway. "Oh, Evelyn, is the dress too much?" "No, it's exactly enough." She adjusted the folded neckline, though it did not need adjusting. "Daniel is going to be so relieved. I told him I was coming. He asked me this morning if I believed you." "What did you say?" "That you don't break promises." The answer hurt more than I expected. Linda met my eyes in the mirror. "Are you leaving after the ceremony?" "Yes." "Does he know?" he asked. I didn't answer. "Why not?" "Because I don't want him spending the ceremony preparing an argument." She nodded slowly. "I'm staying at the reception," she said. "You should. I don't want you to think I'm choosing sides. This is not a draft. You don't have to pick a table." She smiled sadly. The restored mill looked different in daylight. White flowers lined the aisle. Sunlight spilled through the tall windows and turned the river beyond them silver. Ruth and I arrived 15 minutes before the processional. I had no desire to stand in a side room waiting to be useful. Angela met us near the entrance. "Mrs. Mercer? Evelyn is fine. We've been looking for you. I was scheduled at 1. She checked her headset as though it might disagree. "Yes, of course." "Right this way." She led me to the front row on Daniel's side. A small card rested on the aisle chair. Mother of the groom. Not Evelyn, not general family support. A roll, finally printed large enough for anyone to see. I sat. Across the aisle, Marianne was already in her place. Her repaired cream dress looked perfect. She leaned toward me. "You came." "So everyone keeps saying." "I'm glad." She stood, crossed the narrow aisle, and bent beside my chair. "I'm sorry about last night," she said. "You didn't make the chart. I watched them keep asking you to accept less because fixing it was inconvenient. I did too, for longer than I want to admit." I looked at her. "Thank you." She squeezed my hand and returned to her seat. Music began. The general family entered. Then Sam appeared at the back, but I was already seated. Claire had apparently abandoned the formal mother entrances after all. Daniel walked in with Mark and took his place beneath the wooden arch. He wore a dark suit and the tie Claire had selected. Pale blue with a small pattern I could not see from my chair. His eyes searched the front row. When he found me, his shoulders dropped. He smiled. I smiled back. For that moment, I let the rest go. Not forgive, not forget. I simply refused to drag the restaurant chair into the ceremony with me. The wedding party entered. Marianne stood. Everyone stood. Claire appeared at the back of the hall alone. Her dress was simple, long-sleeved, and brighter white than the flowers. She held her bouquet too tightly. Halfway down the aisle, she saw Daniel and loosened her grip. His face changed the way it had at rehearsal. Whatever I thought of the page, the seating, the months of explanations, I could not deny the tenderness between them. Claire reached him, and Daniel took both her hands as if the room had emptied. The ceremony lasted 22 minutes. They promised patience. They promised honesty. They promised to make room for one another's whole lives. That last phrase made something move through me, but I did not let it harden. When Daniel put the ring on Claire's finger, his hand shook. She steadied it with her own. They kissed. People cheered. Marianne cried openly into a lace handkerchief. I cried too, though quietly. My son was married. The sentence contained joy whether I wanted it to or not. After the recessional, Angela directed immediate family to remain for photographs. Ruth waited near the back. The photographer called Claire and Marianne first. They stood beneath the arch, cheeks close, then laughed when the photographer asked them to turn slightly. "Groom with bride's family," he called. Daniel joined Marianne, Paula, Beth, and Owen. People shifted into 2 rows. Then the photographer looked at his list. Daniel and Mom? I stood. Daniel crossed the floor and met me halfway. "You look beautiful," he said. "So do you. That's the suit. Then the suit looks beautiful." He laughed, but his eyes were wet. We stood beneath the arch. He put his arm around me. The photographer adjusted my shoulder by an inch. "Closer," he said. Daniel pulled me against him. The camera clicked. One more, another click. Perfect. Bride and groom with groom's mother. Claire joined us. Up close, I could see that her lipstick had worn away at the center. "Hi," she said. "Hi, thank you for coming. I wanted to see you marry him." She nodded. The photographer arranged us. Claire stood on one side of me, Daniel on the other. For the photograph, we looked whole. When it was done, Claire touched my wrist. "Can we talk before the reception?" Daniel watched my face. "I'm not staying," I said. Claire's hand dropped. "What?" Daniel asked. "I came for the ceremony. I'm going home. Mom, please. I wanted to see you get married." I did. "You're really leaving?" "Yes." His eyes moved toward the guests gathering near the doors. "People are going to ask. Tell them I wasn't feeling well. So you want me to lie?" "Then tell them the truth." "What truth?" "That your mother did not want to spend the evening sitting in a chair dragged over after everyone else had been placed. We have a seat for you. You had one yesterday too, until you didn't." Claire said, "The restaurant got the wrong file, and Daniel saw the version without me. I thought I fixed it." "I believe you." She blinked. "I do," I said. "I believe you sent the wrong file accidentally. I also believe nobody noticed because my place keeps being the detail everyone assumes can be corrected later." Daniel stepped closer. I noticed. "When?" He had no answer. "Stay for dinner," he said. "If you still want to leave after, I'll understand." "No. You'll spend dinner watching me, and I'll spend dinner trying to make you feel forgiven." "Is that so terrible?" "Yes." His face folded slightly. "Do you love me?" he asked. It was such a young question that for a second I saw the boy inside the suit. "More than this wedding," I said. "That is why I am leaving instead of pretending nothing happened." Claire looked down. Daniel's voice became quiet. "I'll miss you." It was not the sentence that would have kept me at the rehearsal dinner. It was honest, though. "I'll miss you too." I kissed his cheek. Then I kissed Claire's. Neither of them stopped me when I walked toward Ruth. Outside, the afternoon was bright and cold. Guests crossed toward the reception space, carrying wraps and purses, laughing as they went. Ruth opened the passenger door. "Are you sure?" she asked. "No." "Good enough." As we drove away, I looked back once. Through the tall windows, Daniel stood exactly where I had left him, watching my empty place move farther from the life he had assumed would always contain me. Ruth drove past the turn to my house. "You missed it," I said. "No, I didn't. Where are we going?" "Somewhere nobody knows what a color palette is." We ended up at a diner near the highway where the coffee tasted burned, and the waitress called us both honey. I sat in a blue dress meant for my son's reception and ate scrambled eggs at 4 in the afternoon. Ruth did not try to make the meal symbolic. She complained about the toast and stole half my potatoes. "I thought you weren't hungry," I said. "I'm not. These are protective potatoes." "From what?" "Your side of the table." I laughed, then covered my mouth because the sound turned into something close to a sob. Ruth reached for the ketchup. "Both can happen," she said. At home, she unzipped the dress for me. I hung it carefully instead of dropping it on the floor, which was what I wanted to do. "You should stay," I told her. "I plan to. The sofa is terrible. So is leaving you alone." We watched a movie neither of us followed. Around 9, my phone began filling with photographs from relatives. Daniel and Claire cutting the cake, Marianne giving a toast, Mark leaning too far into a group picture. In every image, people looked happy because a camera had requested it. One photograph showed the family table. My place card was there beside Daniel's plate. The chair was pushed in. I enlarged the image. The restaurant had printed a card after I left. Someone had made the space perfect when it no longer required me to sit in it. Ruth took the phone from my hand and turned it face down. No more wedding archaeology. That card wasn't there before, I know. They fixed it. Yes, after. She squeezed my knee. At 11:40, Daniel called. I let it ring. He called again, then sent, "We're at the hotel. Can you please answer?" I wrote, "I'm home. I'm safe. We'll talk another day." The typing dots appeared. "I wanted you there." I typed, "I wanted to be there too." He did not respond. Linda and Frank returned after midnight. I heard them moving quietly in the hallway, then Linda tapped on my door. "Are you awake?" "Yes." She came in wearing her reception dress and carrying her shoes. "How was it?" I asked. "Beautiful." "Good." "Daniel kept looking at your chair." I stared at the ceiling. "Did he explain?" "He said you weren't feeling well." "So he chose the lie. He was trying to protect you." "From whom?" Linda sat at the foot of the bed. Maybe himself. She set her shoes on the floor. "I told him you came to the part you needed to see." "What did he say?" "He said he needed you for the rest." I closed my eyes. That would have mattered yesterday. I know. In the morning, Frank made eggs while my kitchen filled with the mechanical hiss of his coffee maker and the occasional shriek from the smoke alarm. "I'm not burning them," he said, waving a dish towel beneath the alarm. "The ceiling disagrees." Linda packed without speaking much. Before they left for the airport, she hugged me for a long time. "Call him," she whispered, "when I'm ready. He may not know how. He has my number." She leaned back, studying me. "You're different." "No. You're all noticing." Frank loaded the suitcases into their rental car. After they drove away, the house became so quiet that I could hear the clock over the stove click from 1 minute to the next. The first message from Claire arrived that evening. "Thank you for coming to the ceremony." I answered. "It was beautiful." She wrote, "I'm sorry the weekend ended the way it did." I did not respond. Nothing had ended the way it did. People had made decisions, and then the decisions had arrived somewhere. The wedding website stayed online. 2 days after the ceremony, Claire added a gallery of photographs. My picture with Daniel appeared near the end, between a photograph of the cake and one of Mark dancing with Aunt Beth. There was no caption. I saved it to my phone. Then I closed the website and did not open it again. Daniel waited 5 days before calling. When I answered, he sounded almost formal. "Hi, how are you?" "Tired." "Same." We exchanged facts. The hotel had overcharged them for parking. Claire's bouquet had survived the night in a bathtub. Mark had lost one shoe and found it in Marianne's car. Then Daniel asked, "Do you regret leaving?" I sat at my kitchen table. Yes. he breathed out. But I would regret staying more, I added. The relief vanished from his voice. Why do you have to say that? Because it's true. You got your point across. It wasn't a performance. It felt like one. Everything feels like performance when other people can see it. He was quiet. I apologized, he said. You left a voicemail. That was an apology. You said you were sorry you hadn't checked the chart. I was. The chart was not the first time. I know. Do you? He sighed. I don't want to keep going through every detail. Neither do I. Then what are we doing? Waiting until you can talk about the pattern instead of bargaining over each incident. What pattern? There was no point answering a question he still needed to ask honestly. I have to go, I said. Mom, I love you. That doesn't make this better. No, it doesn't. I hung up before either of us could turn love into another excuse. In the weeks that followed, Daniel sent messages at the same rhythm he always had. A photograph of an oddly shaped pumpkin outside the grocery store, a complaint about traffic, a link to a lamp he thought would look better in my living room. I answered when I had something to say. I did not ask when he was coming for dinner. I did not remind him about Marianne's birthday or send Claire the name of the dry cleaner that could preserve her dress. When Daniel asked whether I still had the folding table he wanted for a housewarming gathering, I said yes and told him what evening he could pick it up. He came at the wrong time and found me gone. Thought you said after 6, he texted. I said between 6 and 7. It's 7:20. I got stuck at work. I'll be home Thursday. You could have waited. I had plans. With who? I looked at the message and smiled despite myself. Ruth. What plans? Private ones. We were watching the Vermont woman finish her barn. Daniel picked up the table Thursday. He stayed in the doorway with one hand on its folded metal legs. You really weren't home, he said. I told you I wouldn't be. You're usually home. I wasn't. He looked past me toward the kitchen. I can't stay, he said. I didn't ask you to. His face tightened, then softened. Okay. Thanks for the table. You're welcome. I closed the door and cried afterward, not because I wanted him to remain out of obligation, but because I had finally stopped creating reasons for him to stay. Claire came alone on a rainy Saturday in November. She carried my glass casserole dish, the one Daniel had taken home empty months earlier after a Sunday dinner. Inside was a lemon cake. I didn't make it, she said. I would have believed you. No, you wouldn't. That is true. She stood on the porch until I stepped aside. Her wedding ring still looked new. She twisted it around her finger while I made coffee. I owe you an apology, she said once we were seated. You have apologized. Not well. That is also true. She smiled faintly. I did send the wrong seating file. I believe you. I sent the older version because I renamed the final one. Final, and attached final new, which is exactly the kind of thing I make fun of clients for doing. I once labeled 2 containers, chicken and other chicken. What was the other chicken? Pork. She laughed, then pressed both hands around her mug. But that isn't why I'm here. I waited. I wanted my mother to be central, she said. She was. I know. I wanted everyone to see what she had done for me. I wanted my father, wherever he is, to see that she had filled every space he left. I said nothing. And I thought if I gave Daniel's side equal space, it would take something away from her. Why? I don't know. Yes, you do. Her eyes filled, but she did not look away. Because I think love is scarce, she said. I act like every person getting some means my mother is getting less. That may explain Marianne twice. It doesn't explain you nowhere. No. She swallowed. Daniel told me you wouldn't mind. And you wanted to believe him. Yes. Why? Because you made it easy. The sentence stung, but it was honest. Claire continued quickly. You were always calm. Whatever I needed, you said yes or found a way. You never asked for a toast or a special entrance or a color or anything. I thought you meant you didn't care. I cared about not making demands. I know that now. No. You know I finally made one. She nodded. I cut the lemon cake. It was too sweet and slightly dry. Why did honoring your mother require erasing me? I asked. Claire stared at the crumbs on her plate. It didn't. Then why did it? Because I knew my mother would react if she felt less important. I assumed you wouldn't. There it was. Not hatred, not even a plan, an assessment of which woman would charge more for being hurt. I'm sorry, she said. This time, I believe she knew at least part of what she was apologizing for. Thank you. She wiped beneath one eye. Daniel thinks I did all of it. He approved the page. I know. He saw the seating chart. I know. But you sent it. I know. I leaned back. I am not going to be the place where you two leave your share of the blame. That isn't why I came. Good. He's angry with me. Then talk to your husband. He says I made him choose. So does he. Claire's expression shifted. He said that to you, in different words. She looked toward the window. I think he was choosing the whole time, she said. He just didn't want to know. That was the first thing she had said that made me feel less alone. Before leaving, she placed the clean casserole dish in my cabinet without asking. She knew where it belonged. At the door, she hugged me carefully. I do want a relationship with you, she said. I want one with you, too. Her face brightened, but not the one we had. The brightness faded. I understand. I hope you will. After she left, I put the remaining cake in the refrigerator and called Ruth. Claire apologized, I said. For the caption? For assuming I was cheaper to hurt. Ruth was quiet. That's a surprisingly good apology. Yes. Do you forgive her? I don't know. Do you have to decide tonight? No. Growth. Daniel came the following Sunday. He did not bring coffee, wine, laundry, or anything that needed fixing. When I opened the door, he stood with both hands in his coat pockets. Can I come in? He asked. Yes. He sat at the kitchen table while I made tea. Neither of us mentioned dinner. Claire told me she came, he said. She did. She said you asked why honoring Marianne required erasing you. I did. He stared at the tabletop. I have an answer, he said. I sat across from him. Then tell me. He rubbed his thumb along a scratch in the wood. I liked that Marianne called me her son, he said. I liked being the person she wanted at everything. With Dad gone, it felt like, I don't know, like somebody was picking me. I picked you every day. I know. No, I said. I don't think you did. He looked up. His eyes were red. I didn't have to earn it with you, he said. And I turned that into believing I didn't have to protect it. The room went still. For the first time, my son was not asking me to move past what he had done. He was finally looking at it. Daniel kept his eyes on the table. I saw the first draft, he said. I knew you weren't there. Yes, I told myself it was Claire's page because she built it. You sent the link. I know. And when I asked, I lied. The word came quietly. You said you barely looked. I looked long enough. Why didn't you just tell her to add me? He pressed his palms together. Because she was upset about her dad. Marianne kept saying the website should show how much Claire's mother had done. I thought if I pushed, it would become this whole argument. So you gave the argument to me. Yes. He did not soften it. I appreciated that more than I wanted to. At the brunch, he continued, when Marianne called me her son, I saw your face. I know. I almost said something. What stopped you? I liked it. The honesty hurt, but at least it hurt cleanly. I liked that she claimed me in front of everyone, he said, and I knew if I corrected her, she'd be embarrassed. I thought you'd understand. I did understand. That was the problem. He nodded. With the seating chart, I saw you at table 3. Claire said she was changing it, and I let that be enough. Then at the restaurant, when your chair was gone, all I could think about was people watching. I wanted the scene to end. So you got a chair. I got a chair. You still don't understand how much I wanted to sit in it. His face folded. I do now. No. You understand that I left. That is different. He looked at me for a long time. You wanted me to make a place before you asked. I wanted you to notice whether I had one." He wiped one hand across his eyes. "I'm sorry." I waited. "I'm sorry I saw you missing and decided you could handle it," he said. "I'm sorry I used the fact that you love me as proof that I didn't have to act like I loved you back. I'm sorry I made you keep explaining something I understood the first time." The kettle clicked as it cooled on the stove. This was the apology I had wanted. I had imagined it arriving like relief. Instead, I felt grief. An apology cannot return you to the moment before you needed it. It only tells the truth about why that moment is gone. "Thank you," I said. "Is that all? What would you like me to do?" "I don't know, neither do I." He looked frightened. "Are we going to be okay?" "I hope so." "That doesn't sound like yes. It isn't a promise I can make by myself." "I'm trying. You started today." He leaned back as if I had pushed him. "That's harsh. It's accurate." We sat in silence. Then Daniel looked toward the cabinet above the refrigerator. "Can we open one of those terrible bottles of wine? It is 2 in the afternoon. I'm married. I'm allowed. I don't think marriage is the relevant law." He stood, took down the most recent bottle, and examined the discount sticker. "Marianne says this is awful. She has standards. I thought she couldn't see the price under the sticker. The sticker is the price." "Oh!" I laughed. Daniel smiled cautiously at first, then properly. We did not open the wine. I made tea. He stayed for an hour and left without asking for anything. That mattered. The following Wednesday, he called. "I'm just calling," he said. "For what?" "Nothing." "That sounds suspicious. I thought you said I should call when I don't need something." "I didn't say it. I thought it very loudly. I heard you." We talked for 12 minutes about a leak beneath his kitchen sink. I gave no advice. When he said he had already called a plumber, I felt an absurd rush of pride. He began visiting on Sundays again, though not every Sunday and never on the assumption that dinner would appear. The first time, he brought sandwiches. The second, he brought ingredients for soup and ruined my saucepan by leaving milk against the bottom too long. "You're scraping off the finish," I told him. "It's stainless steel. You can still abuse it." "Is this symbolic? It's cookware." "Nothing is just cookware anymore. That is one of the risks of disappointing a funny woman." Claire came sometimes. At first, she was too helpful. She cleared plates before I had finished eating and thanked me for ordinary things with the intensity of someone negotiating a treaty. One evening, I handed her a bowl. "Sit down." I was helping. "You were circling." She sat. "I don't know how to act with you now," she admitted. "Try normally." I don't know what normal is. That may be our first point of agreement. We laughed, and the laugh did not erase anything. It simply belonged beside it. Marianne changed too, though in smaller ways. At Christmas, she raised a glass to both the women who made this family possible, then caught my eye and stopped herself. "Actually," she said, lowering the glass, "to everybody at the table. I am retiring from speeches." Paula said, "We should mark the date." Marianne lasted 14 minutes before giving another speech, but the second one was about the pie. Daniel invited us to dinner at his apartment in February. "I'm cooking," he announced over the phone. "Should I eat first? That would be insulting. So would hunger." When I arrived, Claire was setting the table. Marianne sat on the sofa with a glass of white wine. She began to stand when I entered, then seemed to reconsider whether greeting me required a production. "Hi, Evelyn," she said. "Hi, Marianne." Daniel came from the kitchen wearing an apron that said, "Kiss the cook." "Who bought that?" I asked. "Mark." "Did he kiss you?" He respected the institution of marriage. Dinner was baked chicken, rice, and green beans that had surrendered all structural integrity. Daniel seated me beside him. Marianne sat across from us. Halfway through dinner, she began telling a story about the florist losing Claire's original bouquet ribbon. Daniel listened, then turned to me. "Mom, you started telling me something about Ruth's barn woman." Marianne stopped. I looked at him. What? The woman on television. Did she finish the barn? She did. Was it her barn? Claire asked. We still don't ask questions that interfere with the fantasy. The conversation shifted. It was a tiny thing, so tiny that nobody else would have remembered it by dessert. I did. Spring arrived. The blue dress returned from the dry cleaner in plastic and went to the back of my closet. I kept the photograph of Daniel and me from the wedding on my phone, but did not print it. It was beautiful. It was also evidence of how completely a photograph could tell the truth for 1 second and lie about everything around it. Daniel printed it for me. He came one Sunday carrying a flat package wrapped in brown paper. "This is not a favor," he said before I opened the door all the way. "That is a suspicious greeting. I made something." Inside was a wedding album. Not the large formal album Claire and he kept, but a smaller one with a dark blue cover. The first pages showed the venue and the ceremony, Claire walking down the aisle, Daniel taking her hands, Marianne crying. Then there was a full page with the photograph of Daniel and me beneath the arch. No caption. On the facing page, he had placed the old photograph from his first apartment, the one I had sent for the website. At 23, he held up his keys while I leaned against him, both of us laughing. I ran my fingers over the page. "I had to get the old one from the website upload," he said. Claire still had the file. I thought the resolution was too low. It was fine. Of course it was. He sat beside me on the sofa. "This doesn't fix anything," he said. "No, I know. That helps." He nodded. We turned the pages together. The album did not transform the wedding into a different day. It did not put me at the reception or remove the cold parking lot from my memory. It gave the day a place in my house without asking me to lie about it. I kept the album on the coffee table. When Daniel's birthday came, I did not call to ask what he wanted me to cook. He invited Claire, Marianne, Ruth, and me to a restaurant. He made the reservation himself. When my birthday came, he arrived early with groceries and made the same milk-scorched soup. "You learn nothing," I said. "I learned you own a second saucepan." By summer, our conversations had become easier. Not the old ease, where Daniel assumed I would bend and I called the bending love. This ease had more pauses in it. He asked before making plans that involved me. I answered honestly, even when the answer disappointed him. Sometimes he failed. He once promised Marianne I would bring dessert to a dinner without asking. When I said no, his first response was, "But she's expecting it." Then he stopped. "Sorry," he said. "I'll buy something." He did. Marianne complained that store-bought cake tasted like insulation. Daniel told her she was welcome to bake. I heard about it later and laughed for a full minute. The wedding website disappeared sometime in August. Claire mentioned that the hosting subscription had ended. "Did you save anything from it?" she asked. "The hotel information was excellent," she groaned. "I saved our photograph," I said. Her expression softened. "Good." On their first anniversary, Daniel and Claire invited us to dinner at their apartment. When I arrived, Marianne was in the living room reading a magazine. She had brought flowers but had left them wrapped on the counter for Daniel and Claire to arrange. "I'm practicing being a guest," she said. "How is it?" "Terrible. Nobody has offered me a task. Stay strong." Claire had set the table. 4 places. Cloth napkins, plain white, without a monogram anywhere. I held one up. "Where did these come from?" She laughed. "A store. Like a normal person." Daniel called from the kitchen. "Do not ask what they cost." The baked pasta came out burned at the edges and cold in the center. "Impressive range," I told him. I followed the directions. "Did the directions say to preheat the oven?" He looked at the oven. Claire closed her eyes. Marianne reached toward her purse, probably for her phone. Daniel raised one hand. "Nobody orders food yet. I can fix it." 3 women looked at him. He corrected himself. "I can make something else." He opened the refrigerator and began taking out eggs. While he cooked, I walked into the dining room. On the shelf beside the table stood the photograph from Daniel's first apartment. Not the wedding picture. The old one. He was 23, holding up his keys. I had my arm around him and my head tipped back in laughter. He had not set it there for the evening. A faint, clean line around the frame showed where it had been dusted. Daniel appeared in the doorway carrying a plate of scrambled eggs. "Emergency dinner," he said. "Do you need help?" He looked down at the plate, then back at me. "No. Sit. I've got it." Claire brought toast. Marianne poured the wine. No one asked me to mend, arrange, reassure, or disappear. I took the chair beside my son. The old hurt came with me. So did love. Neither canceled the other. Daniel sat, looked around the table, and said, "Everybody here?" This time, before anyone answered, he checked. Then we ate.